like I said, I told you folks last week I went down to the marshals because they wanted to have a discussion about my paperwork.
What happened?
Well, like I said, they, I filed that lawsuit. I filed it in common law, and they converted it over to a civil rights complaint. And I was like, no, it's a personal injury claim. So I said, how do we convert a personal injury claim over to a civil rights complaint? It's like getting into a car accident, trying to make it a complaint, civil rights complaint. I filed a personal injury. Like I said, like a standard form that they fill out on the federal website. It's like like I said, the number's like a 360 number, and a civil rights is a 440 form. I said, I didn't fill out a 440, I filled out a 360, I filled out a personal injury claim. And they said, well, we file everything under complaints. We don't do claims. I was like, why do you have the option available? They said, well, nobody ever fix that one. Everybody does Title 42, 1983 complaints. I said, well, I don't fit with that special protected class of citizens. I'm not in a wheelchair. You have to be discriminated against, I told them. There's like 5 classes. You have to be like handicapped, or a woman, your race, your sexual orientation, your religion. I said, I don't fit in any of those. So they just ran with it anyway. And they made it a complaint. So I said to the clerk of the court's office, I wrote like an order saying to bring me back over to the correct side of the court. That's a claim of consequence. I told them bring me back over to the common law side of the court, and I told them to don't practice law. Don't try to rearrange my documents because that's practicing law without a license.
So what happened?
Well, the clerk of the courts don't like to be told they can't practice law.
So what happened?
So they said I was having inappropriate communications with the court. The court felt threatened.
Inappropriate communications with the court?
Yes.
Inappropriate communication.
Right. They were saying that my paper, it sounded threatening. So I was like, when I went down, I talked to the marshals. I said, you believe that's threatening because I'm pulling him out of the administrative side and I'm making him hold a common law court. I said, they don't want to hold a common law court. So, like I said, they were looking for me for about a week. And like I said, I live up here in the mountains, and you're not going to find me. I don't want you to find me. And even they couldn't find me. So they pulled my sister's a school teacher, so they pulled her out of class a couple of times, trying to get her to tell them where I was.
Really?
Oh, yeah, she wouldn't know. But, she was starting to get embarrassed at school, like U.S. Marshals coming into a grade, coming in looking for a teacher, where's your brother, so, yeah, her friends were a little worried, like, who was I, that they were looking for me.
So, did you get it all straightened out, or what?
Well, yeah, I got a farm and I got a whole bunch of animals, so I had to make sure the animals were going to be taken care of in case I didn't come back for a long time. So I had to lock everything up and, make sure, friends, family, everybody knew what was going on and the animals were going to be taken care of. So I went down to the marshal service, and it was funny. My sister went with me, and we were laughing in the lobby. They finally came out after about 20 minutes. And they said, what's so funny? I said, I pity the poor magistrate who's going to try to arraign me because he ain't never going to get a contract with me. I said, they were like, what? I was like, I'm never going to enter a plea to anything. I said, this is going to be funny. It's going to be like 100 years before you guys could even go past the arraignment with me. And they were like, no, we told you we're not going to arrest you. We just have some questions for you. So I said, okay, fine. I said, but they said, why is it so hard to believe us that we just wanted a question? I said, oh, come on. You probably got a free toaster and a trip to Tahiti for me, too. I said, what do you think, I'm stupid? I said, you see it on TV all the time. They're like, no, we're not going to do that. So we sat down and talked for a while. And it's so funny, when he first started, he said, we're going to record this. And he said, you can record it too. And he started to read, like that little, brochure thing, like what they can and cannot do. I said, you're going to give me an OP, huh? Like an operational procedure investigation, huh? He's like, what? I said, yeah. I started reading it off the top of my head. He's like, how do you know that? I said, I went to your website before I came here, and I've seen what you can and cannot do to me. So, like, oh, so you checked up on us. I said, you better believe it. I wanted to know what rights I had, what you could ask and what you couldn't ask.
Who were these people? Was it the DOJ or
No, it's
court?
That was the U.S. Marshals.
U.S. Marshals. So you went to the U.S. Marshals website.
Right, and I found out it's called an OPI. And when they ask you to come on down because you're filing like a common law claim, they start getting really worried that they think you're some free man on the land kind of thing. They think you're a Tim Turner, President Russia or something like that. Of course, the judge that's here in my case is criminally going after, he's the one who's been assigned to do Tim Turner. So, and both just happened to be in Alabama. We just both happened to be like before the same judge at the same time. Except mine is a lawsuit, and Karl is actually being criminally indicted. So he sees all this common law stuff coming from the Tim Turner crowd. So, it's like, uh-oh, here comes another common law guy. So...
he's in jail, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still in jail. None of his paperwork is on PESA. Like all his common law, all his buddies are filing all kinds of writ of habeas corpuses. And the magistrate said nobody better send any more paperwork to help Tim Turner or that's practicing law without a license in the state of Alabama, and they're going to have like a visit to the Marshal Service too. So I don't know what's going on with the Tim Turner case. You can't find out anything on PESA with Tim Turner. Except what the government side is doing. You can't see what Tim is doing, or his side is trying to send to the court.
He sent me an email about trying to help him and taking donations, and I thought, wow,
Well, it's the same thing with me. You can't see my orders on PESA, and you can't see my paperwork to PESA. You only can see their orders, and you can also see the federal court side. They're not putting any common law side stuff on it. So it's pretty funny how they control PESA. So I talked to the marshals for a good long time, and it was funny. We got along great, and I showed them right out of their website, which was scary. I showed them at the uscourts.gov. Here's like, if you guys just want to Google this, www.uscourts.gov website, and the very first sentence says, all federal courts are Article 3 courts under the Constitution. So I said to the marshals, I said, what does it say on your webpage? I printed it out. And I said, look, I wasted a lot of blue ink on your website. I said, but here's the pretty eagle, the United States. I said, this is your website. I said, what does it say? It says all federal courts are Article 3 courts. I said, that's common law. I said, it's under the Constitution. So I said, I'm in a federal court. They try to keep bouncing me to the United States District Court. And I keep telling them, stop doing that. Bounce me back to the federal court side. I said, there's a massive difference, and these guys are giving me a hard time about it. Because look at the orders. One order comes from the federal court, and one order is coming from the United States District Court. They know there's a difference. The judges are filling things out under the District Court, and the magistrates writing orders up under the United States District Court. I said, there's two different courts in that building. I said, there's seven different courts that are in each district court, like bankruptcy and tax courts. There's like 7 different federal cases they hold there. There's 7 different cases they hold under that building. So I said, I just keep trying to drag back over to the common law side. So then I said, look a little further on your website. I said, what does it say right here? I was showing right from the marshals. I said, right on your website, what does it say? All state courts are common law courts. I said, and what does it say down here? All federal courts are courts of record. I said, now here's the dictionary. I whipped out the dictionary. I said, what is a court of record? It says court of record. Only moves under the common law. I said, so if all federal district courts are created under Article 3 of the Constitution, all courts are common law courts, and all courts of record only move under common law. I said, what seems to be the problem with me filing a common law tort claim for an injury, for harm? I said, for some reason, they keep converting this over to civil rights. And I said, I don't fit into that category. So I said, I'm not black, I'm not gay, I'm not Jewish. He was like reading the complaint from the judge thing. He's like, yeah, that's what they're saying. They were trying to say that you were like, like saying that you were a white guy, and that, like a free man or a Nazi kind of guy, saying that, you're not gay. I said, no. I said, you can see I'm not gay, I'm not black, I'm not Jewish. I said, they said, oh, now that makes sense. But they're trying to make it seem like you don't like blacks or gays. I said, no, I didn't like that. So we started talking, and it lasted almost 2 hours. So after about 15, 20 minutes, they just shut the video recorder off. They said, we don't got to record you. There's nothing.
Really?
Yeah,
Where did you meet? What state did you meet the marshals in?
Oh, it was Agent Hicks and Hilton, and they were down in Roanoke Field Office, Virginia. So, like I said, it was a great meeting because, like I said to them, they were like, well, they said something about kidnapping and all, about child custody. So my kid's with his grandma, and she loves him, and she loves grandma, and he loves her. So what? They said, well, it's about a custody thing. I said, what custody thing? They said, can you see your kid? I said, I can see my kid every day of the week if I want to. I said, what are you talking about? They said, oh, they're just thinking that, like, you're going to kidnap the kid. I said, and do what with him? I said, he's got Downs. My mom takes great care of him. I said, I can't handle a kid all by myself. I'm a guy. I said, and he loves grandma. She's retired. She spends all day with him. They have a great time together. Well, what's the problem? And it's like, well, they were trying to make it seem like you were going to, like, kidnap the kid. I said, kidnap him and do what with him?
What was the paperwork that they are saying was inappropriate?
Well, what it is, it's a common law claim, and they're trying to keep it on under the United States District Court side. They don't want to have a common law court of record held there. They don't want that. Because the other side can't answer. See, because on the other side, I said, they wanted to answer like under federal rules, like Federal Rule 12, like 12b-6. I said, you can't do that. And they were like, well, yes. And I said, no, you can't because I'm not an attorney. I'm not pro se and I'm not a plaintiff. There is nowhere in law that says a man has to speak legalese. I said, not in the common law, not under the Constitution. I said, and all federal courts move under the Constitution. I said, I'm relying upon like the First Amendment, the 7th, 9th, and 10th Amendment. And I said, the Bill of Rights and the articles. I said, but, everybody knows about amendments. So I said, I'm moving under Article 7. I said, because this is a civil suit, more $20, it's under the common law, and I want a trial by jury. I don't want a magistrate's opinion, I don't want the judge's opinion, I don't want anybody's opinion but the jury's opinion. I said, I don't care what these people are trying to hand me or send back to me. They have no right to even look at any of the paperwork I'm sending to the defendant. So the people who did me wrong, they get to look at it, they get to answer me in 21 days. If they don't, then I'll just go for a default judgment. So that's all it is. That's how fast the common law court works. And I said, I am not going to learn Rule 12b-6. I said, Rule 12, I don't have to. I said, besides, the federal rules change every 6 years. I said, and this is the year that's going to change again. So there's going to be all new rule changes. I said, now what time they change Rule 12 to be what Rule 11 used to be? I said, I'm not going to study Rule 12. There's nothing in the law that says I have to speak legalese or talk like a lawyer. If I said, it's a personal injury. It's a personal harm. I said, look, there's a standard form. And I showed him. I said, the 360 form. See that? It's a personal injury. Personal harm. There you go. Harm to my property. There you go. Mine was harm. I said, just like getting hit by a car. I said, I was harmed. I said, all I found was a claim for forgery. That they used a forged instrument to interfere my rights. That's all. And I said, how they spun it to kidnapping and how they spun it to custody, I don't have a clue. I said, because my paperwork, my lawsuit is 1 page long. I said, I showed it to them, and they read it. They were like, wow, yeah, you're right, it is 1 page long. And I was like, yeah. I said, you see who's the defendant? He was like, well, like CPS, DHR. I said, yeah, what is the CPS? The CPS, number 1, is a federal agent. He says, oh, you know that, right? I said, oh, yeah, they're a federal agent. He says, because why? I said, you know why? Because they have federal funds. It's like bingo. So even the marshal...
What's the stand for?
Child Protective Services.
Oh, okay.
The federal agent.
Okay. I thought they were state agents.
It's a state agency, but it's a federal agent working within a state agency. And the governor still has, supreme control over everything in his state, including federal agents. You can tell federal agents to stop. That they don't have jurisdiction. You can just tell them to stop. And they have to listen to the governor of the state. So once the marshal seen that the defendant was a federal agent, I said to him, what makes you think I'm going to have an easy chance in federal court when I'm going after a federal agent? He's like, I see where the problem is here. But at least the man was incredibly intelligent. He knew they were federal agents because they received federal funds. I didn't have to tell him. He told me. So like I said, people don't understand when you're going against CPS or DHR or DSS, whatever it's called, the HHS in your states, they're federal agents. So if you're like, I'm going to run the federal court, federal court do what? You know, you're suing he says, well, it's a state agency, but it's also a federal agent. When you receive, it's just like anything. You've heard that a million times. Any kind of college who accepts federal funds, you know, they have to abide by all kinds of federal, you know, rules. Like if you wanted to have a country club and you're receiving federal money, you got to allow blacks and Jews and white cripples in a wheelchair. You got to let everybody in if you receive federal money. But if you don't receive federal money, you could just have an all-girls golf club. And you know,
you are so crude. I swear, you are so crude. Anyway, Jody Lee is asking. Angela asked him about jurisdictional challenge. What happens when they don't answer or give written action, such as frivolous paperwork?
You just like I said, when you have when you challenge jurisdiction, it's called a claim of consuence. It's CONSUSANCE. And that's a claim of consuence. So if anybody tries to drag you to the wrong side of the court, you just file a claim of consuence. The claim of consuence is simple. I think I can put one on your site. If not, I'll mail it to you guys. You want to mail this claim of consuence. It's 1 page long.
Okay. I'll put it there.
Yeah, all it says is, you know, you got me in the wrong jurisdiction. Wrong jurisdiction means there's control or power over somebody else. Like if you're standing on my feet and you're breaking my toes, I have jurisdiction over you. Now I can grab you and control you and do whatever I want to you because I have the power to control you, and that's the 10th Amendment. And that's what the 10th Amendment says, is that people have the power. Power just means to control somebody else. So if you're standing, you know, in my space, on my toes, you know, if you say, hey, that's my space, back up a couple of feet, you're in my space, you're claiming that's your jurisdiction. And nobody could get twins with you. Like, you could say, you know what, you need to back up. And you have that right to do it. It's a right. By God, you could say, you're breaking my toes, and I'm going to force you off my toes. So that's all jurisdiction is. Jurisdiction is pretty simple to understand. So when they try to control your paperwork, or they try to control you, or try to drag you into their court before their judge, you're like, hell no. I want to go before a jury. I'm not going before no man in no black robe. You're not my friend. I didn't go to law school with you. I don't go to the same golf club with you. I don't go to lunch with you. I'm not going to stand in front of you because I prosecuted your buddy or your sister-in-law. I'm not dealing with you. I want a jury. So when they try to drag you in front of us, you got the wrong jurisdiction. You got no control of jurisdiction over them because in this country it's a common law land. Oh yeah, the Marshal Service loved that. I gave them a map of the world, and there's like just a few common law countries left. And I had colored. You know, I said, look, these are the orange ones, these are the blue ones. This is all civil code. This is all common law. I said, we live in a common law land. I said, so if we want to drag somebody out of civil court or tax court or bankruptcy court or divorce court or any court, D&B, we could drag them into the common law side. I said, if we lose that ability to drag them over to the proper jurisdiction where we have control over them, I said, we're going to wind up like France. I said, like all these blue countries in Europe, we're going to be like France. I said, I don't mind. I said, my grandma's from France, my dad's whole family's from Germany. I said, they all live civil. I said, we're not all in jail over there. I said, so, but if we turn to France, I said, then we're all guilty until we can prove ourselves innocent. It's going to be backwards. We're going to live in a code land. I said, right now we live in a common law land. So I love living in a common law land. So anytime somebody tries to drag me into the code world, I'm going to drag them into the common law side. I said, if I was in France, I couldn't do it. If I said, well, let me drag you into the common law side, they'd laugh at me. They'd say, you know, go move back to the USA. We don't do common law over here. We do code. So I told them then, I said, look, I said, if all I'm doing when I'm making contact with the judges on that side, I'm demanding from them that they respect the fact that they're Article 3 judges, and this is a common law land, and if they don't like, you know, working in a common law land as common law judges, you know, I'm going to have to ask for their oath of office. And if they have an oath of office, I said to the marshals, I said, you're going to get a phone call from them in a week or two. And they're like, why? I said, because I'm going to demand their oaths of office, and then I'm going to go after their bonds. And I said, when I go after the bonds, I said, you know what's going to happen? He said, yeah, they're going to say you're doing terrorism. I said, why? I said, because I'm interfering with the proper function of the government. I said, so that's what they're going to claim next. So he said, gotcha. He said, so that's the phone call we're going to get next to them? I said, yep. So he said, okay. So he was funny. They were like, well, God bless you. Just keep going at them the way you got to do it. He says, if you feel if anybody from Alabama is threatening you, he says, we'll come up to your mountain and help you. He says, there's an agent that actually lives.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. He said, there's an agent that actually lives close to you. His name is Agent Fowler up in Harrisonburg. He said, I'll give him a call and I'll tell him what's going on. And if you need help, you call him. And he's a really good friend of mine. He'll come up there and help you if you think anybody's coming up from Alabama to give you a hard time. So, like I said, it was a real nice visit after a while, because, like you said, I was really crude because, like I said to them, too, they said to me, oh, you can record us if you want to. And like I said, I guess it's because I'm so crude like that. I said to the guy, I said, no, I'm not afraid to take recording you. And he's like, why? I said, because you're a man and you're a man. He said, yeah. I said, well, if you were a little light in your lopers, if you were like gay or something like that, you better believe I'd be recording you. I said, because you twist all my words around. So I said, if you're a woman, you better believe it. I'd be video recording because I'd have to explain how I talk to her because she wouldn't like the way I'm talking. I said, but if I don't like the way you're talking, or you don't like the way I'm talking, we're going to rearrange the furniture. And if we walk out of here with a few teeth missing, I don't think you're going to be a couple of Nancy boys and arrest me for it. I think we're just going to go around and around, and we're going to slug it out man to man here, and we're going to go home. I said, but I don't think you guys are going to sue me, and I'm not going to sue. So like I said, well, after that, they just shut the recording off. They said, you're normal guy, so you got a normal guy. But like you said, crude. Well, the marshals loved me being crude because I was straight up and honest, and I wasn't tap dancing around them. I was telling them exactly, you're going to get a phone call from the court. I said, because they're going to say I'm interfering with the proper function of government. He said, man, that's paper terrorism. He said, that's right. That's the next phone call you're going to get. Because I'm going to make them move it over to the common law side. And they are not going to want to do it. I said, but somebody's got to do it. I said, if I don't do it, who else is going to do it? So I said, somebody's got to protect, people's rights. I said, I'm protecting your rights, too. So that's why they were like, well, God bless you. Keep it up, and we'll let the folks down in Alabama know, the Marshal Service down there, that you're an okay guy. And it was funny. He said, can we take a picture of you? They want me to send a picture of you. I said, do I really have to take one? He said, yeah. I said, I can make a really goofy face if you want to. He said, if I get upset, don't think we're fooling around up here. He said, oh, okay. He said, nah, you don't got to take a picture, He says, and if you file any writs, and he says, and they get, he said to me, he said, you file any writs, and they get issued to me, he said, I'll be glad to carry them out for you. So it was nice to talk to marshals who, really understand the common law and actually hold their oaths of office to the Constitution.
I don't trust any of them. I'm sorry, I don't. They talk nice and they want to act like they're your friend, but I don't know, I just... But anyway.
If they wanted to arrest me, I was right there. If they could have arrested me, and they could have Tim Turnered me. Tim Turner's gone. I mean, you can't see any people working at Disney. I don't see anything about when he's going to come to trial. I don't see anything on pace about Tim Turner.
He keeps referring to himself as the president, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know his real first name. It's like Frank or something like that, but everybody knows it was Tim. I mean, when you see on Pacer, then you get his first real name.
Oh, I don't care about anything he's done, so it doesn't matter.
But I'm saying you don't hear anything on Pacer, because that's what's bad. I said that's sad if you only see one side. If your son used common law stuff, Pacer, they don't put that stuff on Pacer. They don't want people like who listen to these talk shows to see how we're trying to move them from the civil side, to the code side over to the common law side. So it should be
just be careful how you word things in your paperwork, because once they put that label on you, paper terrorist.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look at Dave Merland.
Oh yeah,
the slammer still.
Yeah, but look at, like I said, the marshals. I handed in my lawsuit. It was 1 page long. They read it like in 2 minutes. They said, "This is it." I said, "That's it, sir. 1 page lawsuits." I said, "That's all I do is 1 page." And they're like, I said, "No son of Yahweh, flesh and blood."
Oh, is that on the website? Do I have a copy of it?
Yeah, I could give it. I could send you one. I'm pretty sure I did, but I'll send you another one.
I think it's up there already, isn't it? I don't know.
Well, I put a 4 or 5 page one on there just for people to read. because they wanted to know what the story was. And I said, okay. And I said, this is what the story is. I said, but the lawsuit's only 1 page long. So, like I said, they read the lawsuit, and it's nothing crazy. There's nothing crazy on there, like me saying flesh and blood, or God, Jesus, Yahweh, supreme being, sovereign. There's none of that nonsense. They just said, I, man, Karl Lentz, have been done wrong. Defendants, one, CPS is DHR, federal agent, state agency, and, jurisdiction is close, the courthouse is close to the defendants. 3, jurisdiction I had over the parties is because we're diverse. I used the, Title 28, 1332, diversity of the parties. And, matter of controversy was more than $20. I said, I've been the cause of action, forgery. We used a forged instrument to interfere my rights, and then the remedy was that the instrument is to be deemed a forgery and is to have no force of operation. And then the last part was compensation, damages. As I put the top dollar amount for compensation. It's so funny. The marshal points down. He said, "Did you put that number down there? It was like $300 million."
Oh,
yeah.
I was going to say, did you put one of those ridiculously large numbers down?
Yeah, but he started laughing when I told him what it was. He said, "What's this number? Did you write that number down?" He didn't say the number. I said, honestly, if you read the lawsuits I sent in, I only wrote 360. I forgot to write the rest of it. I said, I really not expect to see a dime. I said, but what that reflects is 1 second for every $1 for every second that they use the forged instrument to interfere with my rights. And he just started laughing. He was like, "Oh," I said, "Yeah, fortunately for them, it just happened to be 364,665,566 seconds." I said, "So unfortunately for them," I said, "Look," I said, Sandy Callahan, a Lieutenant Colonel who works up in the Department of Justice as the criminal prosecutor in Birmingham, Alabama, told me in front of the whole family, put a ridiculously big number up there. He says, or nobody's going to pay attention to your lawsuit. Put up big, don't sue him for $1. He said, make it up whopper. I said, he told him right from the whole family. Mm-hmm. And I said, I gave him the business card that the man gave me. I said, call him up. And I said the same thing with the last judge that I faced in Alabama for the family court. I said, here's his business card. I said, he told me if I needed any help to call him. I said, so obviously the Department of Justice man isn't afraid of me. And obviously, Williams Owings, I said, I gave him the man's business card. I copied it for him. I photocopied it, and I showed him the copy. I showed him the business card. I said, call William Owings. But he was the last judge who heard my case. It was the 30th trial, and he realized I was getting screwed by the state. And he said, this is outrageous. And he says, he said, you got to appeal my decision today, and I'll show you how to appeal it. And he gave me his business card. So I told the marshals, I said, call up the judge. He personally gave me he stopped the trial in the middle of the trial. He told me to approach the bench, and he said, how to file an appeal. I said, no, sir. He says, well, he looked over at my co-counsel guy. He says, are you going to help him file an appeal? He said, nope. He said, that's what I figured. He told me to meet him out in the hallway, and that he'd go over the appeal process with me. He walked me down to the clerk of the court's office. He gave me the paperwork from the clerk of the court's office. The judge was walking in his robe down the hallway with me. So I'm a big, goofy-looking biker guy, and the guy was a little judge, so it must look kind of silly, me walking in and talking with him. And when we got in front of the clerk of court's office, he said, you got a cell phone? I said, yeah. So he came down from the Supreme Court of Alabama. So he said, here, let me call the clerk real quick. So he called the clerk. He knew the number right off the top of his head. And he said to the clerk of the court, this man needs a copy of his case file, and he needs to know how they took his child, and they won't tell him. So they said there's a contract in here somewhere, but I'm the judge and I can't find it. He can't find it, and the state refuses to produce it. And under contract law, they don't have to produce the contract. So the state wasn't lying. So that's part of contract law. If two parties are in a contract dispute and you're one of the parties and you don't want the judge to interpret the contract, you could just say, I don't want the third party to interpret the contract, and that's too bad. And if you don't have your copy of the contract to bring before the court, the other side doesn't have to bring theirs. So, no, like I said, the judge helped me fill out an appeal. I said I called him up a couple of times with some questions on some paperwork, and he helped me out. I said I appealed the case, and I finally got a copy of the contract. I said, now I'm at the lawsuit part. Now I'm suing in federal court. But it's not going to be easy because, like I said, Family Services, CPS, they are federal agents. So they're all really tight, you know. So obviously the federal court's not going to help me. I said, so I got to drag them over to the common law side, and I got to get them before a jury or get a default decision against them. And they want to try to use federal rules of civil procedure, but there's nothing in the Constitution that says that a man has to file a lawsuit in a federal court, and they have to rely on federal rules of civil procedure. So whereas the federal rules of civil procedure are created by a branch of the government. And I'm not a branch of the government. This is created by the Supreme Court of the United States. And so that's where the federal rules of civil procedure comes from. It comes from the Supreme Court of the United States, and that's a branch of the government. I'm not a branch or an arm of the government. I'm a man. I stand above the government. I'm a part of it. I'm a stand away from the government. I don't have to be part of the government if I don't want to be. I didn't swear an oath or allegiance to the Constitution. I said, you men did. You U.S. Marshals did. You have to protect my rights. I said, this is your job. I said, you can't let a government agency, you know, tell me what to do if I don't wish to do it. So I don't have to abide by federal rules of civil procedure, and they want me to, and I won't play that game. I won't be pro se, and I won't be an attorney. I'm just going to be a man making a claim against, you know, something that did me wrong, and they're going to answer one way or another in court. So it's pretty simple. Does anybody have any questions there for you, Ange?
I don't see any. Let me look. Does anyone have a question? You know what? Oh yeah, I've had a question here, but let's see here. Back there, he wanted to know what do you think they'd arrest you for? What charge? Obstructing justice, terrorism?
You're interfering with the proper function of government. That's terrorism. That's paper terrorism. It's when you're, like I said, but that's a good thing too. I told the marshals, I said, it would kind of be good to be charged with interfering with the proper function of government, because then I would get them to admit once and for all that that courthouse is government employees. I said, because right now I'm having a hard time with them to admit that either they're a government employee in their federal court or they're a private corporation called the United States. I said, so if it's a private corporation called the United States, yes, I'd be harassing them. It'd be like I'm calling Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola, or I'm calling a company, a private corporation, and I keep calling them, demanding things from them, and I have no right to do that. So if the United States District Court tries to say that they're a government and I'm interfering with the proper function of government, I said, well, that's wonderful. I said, that they finally admit that they're the government, that they're not a private organization. I said, we're having a big problem. I said, all of us out here, I said, you know, who's listening to these talk shows, all of us have this big problem. Is it a government court or is it a private organization? If they're private, if they're all private corporations, these courts, well, then we have no rights. If they're government, if they're public corporations, if it's a public building and a public court, we have rights. So that's what I said to the marshals too. I said, so we're all having a big problem out here. So I said, I hope they admit that they're a government agency, because then I have to answer the man. Then I have rights. I said, but if they're not government, it's not a public court, then it's a private court, and I have no rights. Then I have to ask them permission to be there and to talk to them. I said, right, then I'd be harassing them. I said, that'd be more harassing them than terrorism, because terrorism can be directed towards the government and the interference with the proper function of a government. That's terrorism, by paper or by, you know, physical threats. You know, terrorism is only to a government and the function of a government. I said, you can't terrorize Coca-Cola. That's ridiculous. You could call them.
You know, I got some emails coming across my desk from Rod Class saying that all the government offices have been vacated.
Well, if all the government vacated.
They're all private. He said they're all private entities and they're private contractors.
Well, then you can't be charged then with terrorism, paper terrorism, because terrorism is directed to a government. Terrorism is not directed towards Coca-Cola. I could be charged with harassing the poor receptionist at Coca-Cola every 5 minutes, calling her up. But you can't be charged with terrorizing the lady at Coca-Cola, just trying to get her to, say, hey, man, there's a mouse in my bottle of Coke. Who's going to pay me for this? She can't say, oh, that you're terrorizing, you're interrupting with the proper function of Coca-Cola. She sees your phone number coming through on her switchboard. She just says, oh, you again, and click, and she can just hang up.
Well, that's harassment. I don't know if I would call it terrorism. The government puts these labels on people, but what I'm saying is that, well, here, there's a question from Jesse Livermore. Ask him if he knows what disclaimers one might use in front of a grand jury.
Well, the big thing too is it's the same thing with when you're even doing your own jury. If you're, is he indicted before a grand jury? Is that the question? Like, is he saying that he's a defendant, he's being indicted?
No, he's just saying, ask him if he knows what's... There was a gentleman on a week or 2 or 3 back who was talking about, these 3 words that are the disclaimer that you should always use when you go before a grand jury. And I think, and someone sent me the answer and said it was void where prohibited. But I don't, I'm not sure what Jesse, I don't know what you're getting at.
Yeah, that's what the Chappie always says, that Chappie Chapman man always says, void or prohibited by law. But anytime you ever walk into a court, if you're being charged under a code, you immediately convene your own court and you create a court in the common law. And they're saying that somebody's trying to drag you into an administrative court, and they're trying to administrate your property without any rights. See, when you're under a code world, they have duties, obligations, and privileges. They don't have rights. Only man has rights in the common law. So when they try to drag you into under a code, like a Title 50 code, a Title 18 code, or a Title 26, when they try to drag you into a code world, you can say, whoa, 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 we're not in France. Not yet. This isn't France yet.
Code world.
Right, we're not in a code world, C-O-D-E. We're not in a code world yet. We're still in a common law land. So when somebody tries to indict you in front of a grand jury, you just say, well, good. While you're there, I'm going in to indict you, that you're trying to administrate me or my property without any rights. I don't care if it's the IRS. I don't care who it is trying to indict you. You just say, do you have any right to do what you're doing? No, they don't. They have a privilege to do what they're doing, but they don't have a right. So only man has a right in this country, in this nation. We only have rights. The government has duties or obligations or privileges that could be changed, modified, rewritten, recodified, but man has rights that can't be changed.
We have a question from North New Jersey. Go ahead, North New Jersey.
Yes, how you doing?
Hi. Speak up, please.
Okay. Wouldn't a private corporation be...
Can barely hear you.
Hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
sir.
go ahead.
Okay. Wouldn't a private corporation be a paper terrorist and domestic terrorist because they send threatening letters out to people, and then if they don't show up, they kidnap them? So wouldn't they be a paper terrorist and domestic terrorist?
Were you able to hear him pretty clear there, Ange?
Say it again about paper terrorism.
I said, wouldn't a private corporation be a paper terrorist?
A private corporation?
Yeah, I see what he's saying. He's saying that right, could have. Well, like I said, honestly, sir, terrorism is only when it's directed towards the proper function of a government. So you could say, yes, technically you can say that because you're self-governing. So technically, if you want to be cute, yeah, you could say that they're sending paperwork to you and they're interrupting with your proper function because you are a self-governing entity, or a self-governing person, or a self-governing being. You're self-propelled and you determine which way you're going to go. So yes, if you want to be cute, sure, it would be totally lawful. You just convinced 12 people on a jury, well, 7 out of 12, that's true, and you'll win. But like I said, the whole trick is convincing 7 out of 12 of the people that live around you on the jury that that's terrorism.
Okay.
So it's a great question, man.
All right, thanks.
Oh, no problem, man. Good talking to you again.
Okay, anybody else? Press *8 if you want to ask him a question. Otherwise, type it into the chat. If anybody else has anything to ask, please come on and do so. Anybody else? Everybody's quiet tonight.
Yeah, I'm trying to read the chat board and see if I see anything back there. But like I said, the same thing with grand juries is the same thing. You know, it's any time, I don't care if you get a traffic ticket, I don't care what it is, you drag them over to the common law side of the court. I get them all the time in traffic court. It's so sweet. All I say to the judges, I look at the other two sides, I look at the cop, and I look at the prosecutor. I said, we're here to discuss that I broke the law, right? Yeah, good. We're here because I broke, all right, good. The judge was like, we're here because I broke the law, right? Yeah, good, wonderful, let's go. So then they start reading the charges. That's a code that you're saying I violated. That's a code. I thought we were here to discuss that I broke the law. This is the law. I said, yeah. I throw them their own book. I said, what's the difference in your book? Like in the Code of Virginia, 1950, what's the difference between law and a code? So that, like I said, they read the difference between a code and a law. I said, gotcha. Because you said we were here to discuss the fact that I broke the law. So, did you just make a false claim in court? Are all you folks just committing, just making false claims and saying that I broke the law? They're like, well, you know what I meant. I said, no. You said that we're here to discuss the fact that I broke the law. I did not break the law. And I said, are you sure you people are going to be able to prove that I broke the law today? Really? Okay. I can prove in 2 seconds I didn't. So they start to read. I said, whoa, I object. I said, that's not the law. They said, yes, it is. I said, that's the code. I said, what does it say? The Code of Virginia. Where are you pulling that from? It's a code book. It's not the law. What's the difference between law and a code? Here you go. Was there anybody harmed or injured? No. That's a code. One is the law, one is the code. I said, so, are you committing false claims in court? Are you guys committing perjury? You just feel like coming to court and saying whatever you feel like saying? You're lying? I thought you guys swore up and down that we were here to discuss the fact that I broke the law. I guess I didn't break the law, did I? Then I guess there's no reason for us to be here, is there? Oh man, they hate it, man. I catch them with their own words. I brought them over to the common law side by just saying something simple. Are we here because I broke the law? Is that what you're claiming? Are you claiming I broke the law? Yeah. Only other problem is only man can make a claim. So I guess we're over here on the common law side now. So who's here to make the claim? They're like, oh geez, this guy got us like in 2 seconds or less. He said, yep, I'm done, sir. Anything else you need? I love it. I've been doing this for 20 years, 30 years. I don't know, I'm 50 years old now, so I've been doing this since I'm a little kid. Just getting him in and out of court so fast, it's scary. No 100 pages of paperwork. Like I said, the marshals loved it too. They're like, holy cow, this lawsuit was so simple. And they're like, he said, I read it twice. He said, while you were talking, I read it twice. I was like, yeah. I said, go read some Fremantle, Montana nonsense. It'll take you 2 years to read their dribble. And you can even decipher it. I can't even make it out there details. I said, I was guilty of that stuff. I told him. I said, believe me. I said, I wrote a lawsuit back in like 2002, 2003. Like 300 pages long. It was ridiculous. I did all that Fremantle, Montana nonsense. It gets me nowhere. I said, you know what? I made a claim. I'm a man. I could do it in 1 page or less. He said, yeah, obviously, we've seen you do it. I said, yeah. I said, the federal court just doesn't like it that simple. My whole cause of action is 1 sentence law. 1 sentence. I said, forgery. They used a forged instrument to interfere with my rights. Period. I'm done. Is anybody going to say you didn't do it? I said, see Exhibit A. I said, there you go. There's Exhibit A. The man read the contract. The federal marshals read the contract. He read it a couple times. He said, holy cow. This is a ridiculous contract. This doesn't have your name, your wife's name, or the baby's name on it. I said, no. It was signed before he was born. I said, and he was born premature. We thought he was going to be born 2 months later. I said, this is a ridiculous contract. He said, yeah, this is beyond ridiculous. He said, they're just trying to make it so you can't collect a dime. He said, I see what they're doing. They're just doing whatever they can. So now they're saying that you're terrorizing them. Now that you're threatening them. Now you're having improper communications with them. I was like, yeah, they don't want to pay out. I said, they got buddies, they're not going to want to pay me a dime.
They're not going to do it easy anyway. They're not going to make,
Yeah. So so like I said, thank God the marshal said that he's going to tell you Alabama marshals what I'm doing, and that they interfere with his rights, and they said it's clear. They kept the contract, they kept the copy of the lawsuit, and he's like, holy cow. He said, you know what, if you write out a writ, he said, I'll be more glad to carry it out. He said, you write something, you get it, and we'll carry it out.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, You know, like I said, I trust them now only because I could have sworn we were going to get jumped, tasered. You know, I could have sworn we walked into the federal building, I was going to be gone. I said I thought I'd never see daylight again. You know, that's what I told the guy. I said, yeah, you got a free, free tickets to go see the Lakers or a TV or a microwave oven waiting for me too. You know, just me to come down just so they could beat me up and ball me off.
They do that.
Oh yeah,
People. Wait a second, though. North New Jersey, did you have a question?
Yes, this is Karl Lentz, right?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I didn't get on the call till late, and I was wondering if you told us on the call how you made out in your federal district court case.
Oh yeah, I was telling you folks that what happened is I told them 21 days. I said I just got off the phone with the governor's attorney, and the governor's attorney believes that it's a civil rights complaint. I said, so I had to tell him no. I said, I filed a personal injury claim, right? A personal harm claim, right? A personal claim. He said, yes. He said, but why is the court making it a civil rights complaint? So, I mean, the attorney for the governor's Franklin Johnson, and he's a smart man. He's the only man I've ever talked to in my life who can keep up with me. There's nobody I've ever talked to who understands common law like I do. And this man, with the governor's attorney, he was good. I mean, he kept up with me. I said, did you see this one order that the court generated? He's like, yeah. I said, how many jurisdictions does this man have going on? He said, 4. I said, yeah, you noticed that too. He's got 4 jurisdictions going on. He's got his own personal jurisdiction. He's got civil. He's got common law. I said he's got the subject matter jurisdiction in the civil rights side. I said, this guy's got jurisdiction all over the map. I said, it's only one paragraph. I said, I'm glad you saw that too. He says, yeah, we can't figure out what he's doing. I said, neither can I. So I called the federal district court and I said, look, you've got to kill this complaint. You've got to just dismiss it, 12B6. If you do whatever you got to do to kill that thing off, I said, because not only my rights, you're interfering with the DHR's and the governor's rights because they don't know how to answer. I said, and I actually got to call the governor's office explaining to him how to protect his rights from a false complaint being filed. I said, this is ridiculous. I shouldn't have to help this guy. I said, so kill this damn complaint. So they did. So the next day they said that a civil rights complaint is they had no subject matter jurisdiction over that complaint. So it's like wonderful. So right now all I have to do is send in an order for them to sign, seal, and stamp and send back to me my orders that I placed with the court. I placed 4 orders with the court. I know it's on Angela's website, the 4 orders I placed. And I told them they got to mail them back to me. And that's what I said to the marshals. That's going to be fun. Because one, obviously, is the $300 gazillion, and the other one is to void all court orders, and the other one is that the forged instrument is to have no force of operation, in any jurisdiction in this nation, on this land. So that was 3 of the court orders. So that's going to be fun to see if the clerk of the court's actually going to sign, stamp them, and seal them. And when they don't, I saw it to the marshals, I'm pretty sure they're not going to sign, seal, and stamp and deliver them because it's been more than 21 days now, and the other side failed to answer. I said, so what I'm going to have to do is, I said, I'm going to have to make a demand for their oaths of office. And I said, and I showed them their own code book, and I said, this is their oaths of office that they must take, to hold that office. And if they're employees, they also have to take that oath as well. I said, but the officer of the court has to be bonded. The employees aren't bonded, but the officers are bonded. I said, so then I'm going to go and I'm going to demand their bond. I said, so that's the point I'm at now, to send them the order demanding that they send me back 4 orders, or 3 orders, and to send back to me signed, sealed, and delivered. And when they give me a hard time, then I have to go after them and prove to them that they are an Article 3 court under the Constitution. I did put a money order in, and the money order was written out to the federal court, not to the United States District Court. So they already sent it to me. It's like, oh, wait a second, we already cashed that. I said, yeah, but you cashed it, and I wrote federal court on it. And they said, no, United States District Court is the same as federal court. I was like, not even close. I said, because my name is called Rudolph Lentz, and my dad's name is Rudolph Karl Lentz. I said, just because it's the same combination of words doesn't mean we're the same person. It's not the same thing, ma'am. So I said to the Marshal Service, this is going to be fun, because I purposely wrote out
think it's best to always write a personal check to them, not a money order, because it's easier to see how they signed it on the back, how they endorsed it.
Oh yeah, but like I said, a lot of people who are listening to your show right now, especially like a law class man, if he's listening, he'll tell you that the only real true money in this country is the United States Postal Service money order, because it's like international. But I know what you're saying, Ange. It's a lot easier, right? I totally agree with you. But like I said, most people tell you United States Postal Service, World Union Postal Service, they said that's the best form of proof that there's money.
Yeah, but you can't see how they endorsed it. You got a receipt copy of how you made it out, but you never get to see, because what was that guy's name? Oh, years ago, he was taking on all the judges. He got copies of their financial papers, and because he was helping his daughter with a custody issue. And when he wrote out the check, he made it to the family court, but when he got it back, it had some judicial endorsement on the back that I got crazy.
Yeah, I got the receipt from the Postal Service. I mean, I could ask them to PDF it, find it in their system somewhere and send me a PDF copy of front and back. But just for the fact that I wrote it out to the federal court, that guarantees me a federal court. A matter to be moved in federal court, not in the United States District Court. I was like, look, I got a copy of the receipt.
No, but I thought you said they modified. Did they alter the heading on the money order that you made it out to?
No. I guarantee they just deposited it. They said, oh, it's the same. Federal court, whoever they deposited with, like the local bank lady's like, oh yeah, it's all the same,
I don't know, but anyway.
No, they're not going to scribble it out and write something else. You can't scribble out somebody's name and put a different name on there. That'll look pretty bad if they tried to do that. No, I guarantee they just, because you can see the PDF of the money order on a FACER website under my case number.
Yeah, but can't you challenge it if you make it out to one entity and it's endorsed by a different entity? Can't you challenge that somehow?
Well, like I said, it's like under the rules of the federal court, I get the right to move a trial by jury under the 7th Amendment. So under the 7th Amendment, it says, under the federal court that I get the right to move a trial by jury. So it's like, well, wait a second, you took my $350, where's my trial by jury? So like I said, there's so many different ways. I told the Marshal Service that I'm coming after these people. I said it's scary, boxing them in a corner. They're going to have to either admit that they're a government and I'm interfering with the proper function of government. Well, if they're the government, well, then they could be held to the Constitution. If it's a private organization, well, then they can't say I'm interfering with the proper function of government. I'm only interfering with the private function of Coca-Cola or Pepsi. And all I could be charged with is harassment. But then I could say, wait a second, I paid $350 to a government court. I didn't pay $350 to a private court. Did that private court steal the money from the public court? That sounds pretty bad, I told the marshals. I said, so they're going to have to either admit or deny that they're a private court or they're a public court. I said, now, that's the fun thing. I said, nobody's on any of these talk shows has ever gotten to this point that I am with these people, forcing them to admit or deny. Are you a private corporation? Because like Rod Class said, oh, they all abandoned, blah, 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 blah. It's like, good. Did you get them? Did you sue them to prove that they are? Or did you just read it in a book, or somebody just told you that somebody told you by hearsay? So I said to the marshals, now I'm going to pin these people because I want to charge them with stealing my money. If it's a private court, if Coca-Cola intercepted my money that I was giving to a public courthouse, if a private entity cashed my check, they're in trouble. I said, so they're going to have to answer up. So one way we're going to find out, one way or the other, is this a public court or is this a private court? Because I wrote the check out to the public court. Where did it go? See, that's not...
Dean has a question for you. Go ahead, Dean.
Yeah, thank you, Angela. Well, I'm a fellow Virginian with you. Hey, Angela, if you don't mind, would you share my contact information with them?
Okay.
We can talk, and then I can find out how to kick tail in court like he's doing. Another thing you can get them for, if they've done that, if they cashed that postal money order wrong, wouldn't that be the same as mail fraud?
Oh yeah. Like I said, they intercepted a check that I wrote out to a public court. I wrote a check out to a public court. What are you doing with it? Where did it go? yeah, I love it. It took a little bit for me to figure out how I'm going to get these people, because there's ways to not pay the filing fee. But if I didn't pay the filing fee, then I would be admitting that I'm in a public court. And like I said, the odds of working through, to get them to acknowledge for me to file free, they would give me so much nonsense saying I had to file as a pauper. But if you file as a pauper, everybody knows who listens to these things, if you're a bankrupt country or a bankrupt person, you have no rights. Your creditor determines what you can and cannot have. So you never file bankruptcy, and you never file that you're a pauper, because then the judge will determine whether or not you do get to go into that court or not. And then he'll get to determine what your rights are once you get into that court. So instead of going to form a pauper round or pauper formal round, whatever nonsense that is, I said, no, you know what? I got the $350. I'm going to pay it to the public court. I'm going to come back and claim it now. Like, in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to claim to get my money back. I'm going to say, oh, you know what? I just realized I messed up. I just paid $350 to a public court. What am I doing? The courts are free to the public. They're like a public library. Oh, the courts are free. Oh, please send me back my $350. But that's that. You like me, huh?
I like that, yeah.
Oh, yeah, believe me, I've been doing this since I'm a little kid, man. Believe me. Like I said, because somebody asked me that, they said, what got you into this? Is in 1972, New York State outlawed corporal punishment, spanking kids. So it's like, what do you mean? It's illegal now? They said, no, there's a difference between legal and lawful. So they showed me the code book, and they showed me, and I said, holy cow. So that's what really got me into law back then when I was a little kid, learning the difference between what's lawful, like your mom and dad could hit you, but it's illegal for somebody other than your mom and dad to hit you. So yeah, I've been pushing the envelope, man, since I've been a little kid. Now that I'm involved in it, I knew the difference between legal and lawful. So this just comes naturally to me to totally be like, you call an asshole, and I'm just good at it. Just telling you, look over here, while I'm really doing something over here, like misdirection with these people. That's the way you do these people. You can't come straight at them. You can't play by the book, because they won't play by the book. They're so corrupt, it's scary. They tell you in one breath, you can look at them and you can say, the clerk of the court, are you a federal court? She'll say yes. And then you say, okay, are you United States District Court? Yes. Okay, ma'am, which one are you? Yes. It's like, that's not an answer. She'll just say yes. It's like, because she can be, like I said, every district court is also a bankruptcy court, it's a criminal court, it's also a maritime court. Every district court has like 7 different courts that are heard before. You just got to force your common law court to stay front and center. That's the whole trick, because they keep trying to drag you into the civil side, into the code world, and I don't want to go over to the administrative code world. I want to stay in the common law side. They try to keep tricking you to making a mistake with your paperwork by saying that you're pro se or sure jurist, or using a legalese word. See, none of my paperwork has any legalese words in it, because if I speak legalese, if I speak Chinese, they could speak legalese or Chinese back to me. So I speak very plain, common, simple, one-syllable words. And the marshals are like, this is so simple to read, it's scary. I said, yes. There is not one legalese word in there. Everything you can find out of a common Webster's dictionary. I said, you don't want to use their words, because once you use their words, they can answer back in their words. I said, that's why you don't want to cite.
So you don't put anything in there about your political or your status?
Just say I'm a man. And there you go. It's really simple. Just say you're a man, and that's your status.
Oh. So you just speak it. You don't put the paperwork in there saying it.
Like I said, my lawsuit. All I did was put in there saying that I'm a man. I mean, it was pretty simple. I mean, there wasn't really, I'm a man. My lawsuit is so simple, it's scary. I mean, I can send you it. It's only 1 page long. I mean, I'm getting it on the internet right now. I mailed it to somebody the other day, and it's like I said, it's so simple, it's scary. And like I said, that's the whole trick, is because the all you have to do is say is you're a man, and that you're making a claim, and right there you're on a common law side, because it's assumed or presumed in this country that this is common law, and that a man can hold court in a common law. So to me, it's that simple. Why would you want to add anything more than just saying that I'm a man and I'm making a claim? Because only a man can make a claim. The government can't make a claim. They file criminal complaints against you. So like somebody, Angela was saying before, I forgot the man's name, he writes this ridiculously really long criminal complaint, a civil complaint against the government. And I'm like, it's a complaint. You know, anybody can make a complaint, but only man can make a complaint. Why don't the man make a claim against the government instead of making a complaint against the government? So that's the way I look at it. I just look at it incredibly simple. You know, that a claim, only man can make a claim.
Novetzky's on here saying that eventually they're going to stop that process because it's not correct. A man cannot do anything.
Who said that?
Novetzky?
Man created the courts. So what do you mean man can't do anything? What does it say? Oh, what the language explains, man, it's not the proper status. Eventually they're going to stop that process because it's not correct. A man can't do anything. Okay, he's just funny, I guess.
What type of man?
And he says, what type of man? It's just a man. That's it. You don't put a like you say God. When you say God or I say God, everybody believes God is like that one thing that created everything. So now if you say the rainbow God or the thunder God or the hailstone God, or it diminishes his capacity. If you just say God, it covers it all. If you try to diminish the noun by putting, an adjective in front of it, why would I want to diminish my status? I'm just a man. I just say, I'm a man. That's what I kept saying to the marshals. I said, look, all I know is I'm a man, and they did me wrong. I said, that's it. I said, I got nothing else to say to anybody. I said, I'm a man, and they did me wrong. And they're like, oh.
Daniel Defense on here is saying, Karl, don't you remember your conversation with Ed?
Ed, oh, the Klan man.
Mm-hmm.
Ed the Klan man. Oh yeah. And when I realized, holy cow, I know Ed now. Oh yeah. I didn't realize, I kept saying, I said, no, black people have rights too. I said, Ed, what are you talking about? I said, justice is blind in this country. I said, no. I said, he was saying about this 1802 act.
Oh, okay.
I said, look, I don't care if you're purple, I don't care if you're a Martian. If you come before me, I'm blind. I don't care what you're wearing. Just tell me the story. And Ed is like, oh no, he says, only white men have. I said, oh no. I said, no, don't even go there with me. I said, I'm not even playing that game. I said, the only reason why I look white is because we have a yellow sun in the sky. If we had a purple sun in the sky, I'd probably look pitch black too. I said, I don't want to hear it. I said, don't even go there with me. You're wasting your time. So then somebody called up and told me, he said, Karl, get off that show. Oh, Tom Murphy, the reclamatic guy, said, get off that show. He was like, what? He said, that's it. That's crazy. So I was like, what's wrong with that? He said, get off that show. So he told me, he says, this is good. So I'm like, the Klan. It's like, oh, he means Klan. He's like, yes, Klan. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I didn't know. Yeah, here it is. Parties, here it is. I'll send it to you. If I wrote claimant, I, a man, by my will, move this case through this federal court by way of right secured and protected to a man by the Bill of Rights, United States Constitution, Articles 1, 7, 9, and 10, and under the common law of the land. There you go. That's how I define myself, as a claimant. And I, a man, by my will, move this case through this federal court by way of right secured and protected to a man by the Bill of Rights, United States Constitution. There you go. And I wrote the respondent, the DHRs, like you folks call them CPS. 1 is a federal agent. 2 is a state agency. There you go. And the jurisdiction was simple. The parties are diverse. There exists a controversy between the parties. Number 3, the value of controversy exceeds $20. Number 4, the power of a court can provide the restoration of rights to man. 5, I can move a court and order monetary compensation for damages. There you go. Venue, courthouses within close proximity to the defendants. And then the matter of controversy, forgery. The DHR uttered a forged instrument which is interfering with my rights. See Exhibit C. And then the order. As the DHR moves in bad faith, I as a man believe that in order to settle this case, it is necessary and proper for I a man to be made whole and complete, that the sum of $300 gazillion reflects the amount of time for every second that my rights have been interfered with to date. As the above stated sum is owed, payable, and due forthwith, and is to be paid in full within 21 days after the wrongdoers have been served their summons, suit, and order to prevent further damages from accruing. And I wrote down, I will affirm and verify in open court that all the herein above be true. Because only man can affirm and verify in open court. An attorney can't. That's my whole, I just read my lawsuit. That's my whole lawsuit for $300 million, $2 zillion. Ridiculous. That's how simple a lawsuit is. It's none of the stuff that you guys are doing. What you guys see are lawyers' stuff. It's like the way lawyers do because they're filing complaints and they're trying to convince somebody to listening to their whiny, complaining nonsense. Like I say to people, it's like winning the lottery out there. If you guys have the Powerball or something out there, you have the winning lottery ticket. You have a claim that you have the ticket. You go down to the lottery board and you say, I want to cash this ticket in. I have a claim ticket. I'm on it. And they'll look at it, give you your money, and it's done. That's how I want to do with mine. I have a claim. I want them to take a look at it, give me my money, and I'm done. Now, when you have a complaint, like I said with the lottery, it's like saying, say, like if some black lady says, only white guys from Kansas seem to be winning the lottery, these white Protestant guys, blue-eyed, blonde-haired guys, and they're all picking it out of the machines are picking it for them. These machines are prejudiced against me. That's a complaint. So I said, it would be like some black lady who's in a wheelchair, who's Hindi, who's gay, that would be a Title 42, 1983 civil rights complaint, and she would be complaining that the lottery system is set up that only white men win. So that's a complaint. A complaint is ridiculous. So when your complaints get dismissed for failing to state a claim, that's right, because you didn't state a claim. You made a complaint. So when you fail to state a claim, which, of course you failed to state a claim, you filed a complaint. You didn't file a claim. So file a claim. They're telling you right up there, in front. You stated, you made it, you stated that it was a claim which cannot be granted. It's like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Of course I didn't make a claim. I filed a complaint. Because if you had the winning lottery ticket, you'd be making a claim. You wouldn't be complaining that you didn't have the winning lottery ticket. You'd be making a claim that you do. A claim is very fast and quick. A complaint could take forever. A complaint could be appealed. Oh, a complaint's go on forever. It's ridiculous. I'm not making a complaint. There's no, like I said, when you read the 7th Amendment of the Constitution, it says there is no appeal in any U.S. court. So you can't take my claim and you lose, and you can't bring it up to the United States Court of Appeals. You can't bring it up to the United States Supreme Court. It's done. They don't have the right to overturn what a jury decides. So, I know that man, if he wants to send me his stuff, that's fine. He drives a tractor trailer. I recognize his voice. He's talked to me a few times.
Yeah, that was Dean. I sent you his email. I just sent you both each other's contact information.
Yeah, but you see how simple I am? And you see, like I said, and all these other people that you have on your calls, they usually, they talk to, and they try to make you guys follow like statutory codes and Supreme Court rulings. I'm like, I don't care what somebody Hale versus Hinkle's 1902. Hale might have stuck his tongue out of the judge.
Everybody has their own way. We learn from everybody.
Well, I'm saying the judge, the Hale, like say Hale versus Hinkle, a simple one. Say, what if Mr. Hale gave the judge the finger? I wouldn't dare. So maybe that's why he ruled against him. Maybe he didn't like the way he was dressed that day in court. So maybe that's why he ruled against him. Or maybe Mr. Hinkle went to school with the judge. Maybe that's why he ruled for Mr. Hinkle. It's like, I don't care. I don't care. To me, that was then, this is now. I don't care what people did years ago, 100 years ago. That's not my case. My case is this. I'm making a claim. Does anybody want to claim that my claim is a false claim? Yes or no? Did you or did you not do this to me? Yes or no? And if you say, no, I didn't do it, great. Let's get this before a jury then on day 22. And that's it. Let's get this over with, man. It's just a lottery. I just want my money and I want it now. Does anybody want to claim that there's been more than one lottery ticket cashed, paid out on this lottery? No, there's only one. Okay, I got the one. Like, okay, then I'll just give me my money. I'm not going to sit around 20, 30 years for you to investigate it and appeal it. And no, just give me my money. I got a claim, and if I'm lying, you come back and to me. But you make your claim, and you say, oh, well, it's over. You pay the guy, and it's done. You don't drag court on for 6 months, a year, 2 years. You do it in 21 days. So, does anybody have any questions? Angela, do you think of?
I don't think so. Anybody have a question? Press *8. Or just type it into the chat.
Yeah, because like I said, do you have any Spanish viewers that you're thinking of?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was hoping we'd get a lot more people on to share their experiences, although I do like listening to you.
Oh, okay.
But,
yeah, like
somebody was asking here, let me see here. Isn't there an issue with application? How did we do this? Oh, Paypart wanted to know how did they endorse the money order, if they endorsed it at all. So, but did you get a copy of that money order back, or?
Well, like I said, whenever you file something in federal court, they put the check on the PACER website so that you could see that they took it and they gave me a receipt for it.
Yeah, but can you see front and back? Can you see the endorsement?
No, as I said at the beginning, they just gave me the front. Like I said, if I go to the United States Post Office and I say to them, I'm going to need a PDF of the front and the back of that check, of that money, I'm sure they get it for me.
Don't be so sure. Don't be so sure.
Oh.
You might be surprised.
Like I said, I asked them, like I said, you can see it clearly on PACER that I wrote the word federal court on the money order. So I just have used that as an exhibit. Federal court. Am I in a federal court? I must be, because somebody took my check and cashed it because they gave me a receipt for $350 that they cashed it. So that's as far as I'm concerned. That's my proof is PACER. I already took it off the website. I already downloaded it.
All right, so what you're saying is you don't care how they endorsed it.
Right, because I see federal court. I wrote federal court on the face of it. As far as I'm concerned, I'm in a federal court. And they said, no, you're in the United States District Court. I said, no, I'm in federal court because I paid $350 to be here. And on the uscourt.gov website, it says in the very first sentence on the website, all federal courts are Article 3 courts under the Constitution. So, I'm in an Article 3 court because it says right here on your website. And that's what I said to the marshals in 2013. I said, this isn't some ancient stuff from 1938. This isn't some nonsense from 1913. This isn't 1776 Yankee Doodle nonsense. I said, I'm pulling it off the U.S. Marshals website. I'm pulling it off the U.S. Courts website. The U.S. Courts website. Not Fremantle, Montana website. The U.S. Courts website. I said, so you're telling me the uscourt.gov is lying in the very first sentence and saying all federal courts are Article 3 courts under the Constitution? Because there's a difference between a federal court and a bankruptcy court and a admiralty court.
Says that on their website?
It's on their website. It's on the very first page, on the very first sentence, very first paragraph. So I showed the marshal. He was like, holy cow, you're right. I said, look, how many different courts are in the district court? He was like, 7. I said, there you go. I printed it off your website. There's a bankruptcy court. There's like, criminal courts you have there. I said,
what website did you get that information from? I want to go look right now.
It was www.uscourts.gov or .org.
U.S. Courts?
Yep. Yeah, just U.S. Courts.
Okay.
www.
Okay, United States Courts.
What, do you do .gov?
It's .gov, yeah.
All right, is it blue?
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. So it'll just say like the federal courts, say all federal courts are.
United States Courts. There's no flag there. They do have the olive branch. The United Nations insignia is like behind the page. There's stars and there's like a partial visual of an olive branch. You know how it goes around in a circle around the caged earth?
Right. Yeah.
Their logo, the United Nations.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I just clicked on federal courts. I think that's federal courts.
And where does it say? U.S. courts are an independent national judiciary providing fair and impartial justice within the jurisdiction conferred by the Constitution and Congress. As an equal branch of government, the federal judiciary preserves and enhances its core values as the courts meet changing national and local needs.
Yeah, I'm clicking on it. Federal courts in the American.
And let's see here. Where did it say that?
I think it was under district courts. You had to keep on clicking until you get to it.
Where the federal courts established? What kind of changes? Where do you see that district? Let's see here.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out.
Rules and policies, federal courts, judges and judgeships.
Yeah.
Statistics, forms, fees, court records, educational resources, news, court locator, your court services.
I'm trying to remember what day I found to see those guys, those marshal guys, because I printed it. I think it was the 16th. Trying to see where I found it,
Yeah, where it said Article 3 courts.
Yes, I'm saying. That's what I'm going to try to find for you guys real quick here. Because like I said, that's why I said
We've got the Supreme Court of the U.S., the U.S. Court of Appeals, U.S. District Courts, U.S. Bankruptcy Courts, U.S. Courts of Special Jurisdiction, structure and function of the federal judiciary.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Those are the different headings.
Oh yeah, they have a whole bunch of different checks and balances, Constitution. I'm trying to remember if I found it under the differences between federal and state courts. Let me see. Jurisdiction of federal courts. Yeah, I didn't know I was going to be on, so I didn't have all this paperwork sitting here ready for you.
All right, okay.
Yeah. Trying to find where it, because I'm trying to remember what day I went down there.
I just put it in their search engine. So I put Article 3, and it says federal courts.
Oh, I think I know where the folder is.
Oh my goodness, it says here, comparing federal and state courts.
Yeah.
Federal court system, the state court system, the structure. Article 3 of the Constitution vests the judicial power of the United States in the federal court system. Right here, the third branch may, see, the conference is concerned and drafted and may include in Article 3 court's ability to fashion an effective remedy. Well, it says it in several places here.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to find where I brought it down to him. I actually printed it out. It should be easy for me to find because it's nice, pretty good link. But yeah, you're probably on the right page. I'm not by the computer right now, but yeah.
Well, I just went into their little search box there and wrote in Article 3.
Right, it says federal courts. It doesn't say United States District Courts, federal courts. There's a huge difference, you know what I'm saying?
It says federal courts.
Right, so don't ever let them trick you into saying, because like I said, my dad just died not long ago.
Okay, but I don't see where it says Article 3 here, though, on this page. How were the federal courts established? What kind of cases do they hear? What is the difference between state and federal courts? These might be some of the questions you're asking, blah, blah, blah. Our founding fathers understood the need for an independent judiciary. That's what they're probably rolling over in their graves. Which was created under Article 3 of the United States Constitution. The judicial branch is one of the three separate distinct branches of the federal government. The other two are the legislative and executive, blah, blah, blah. If you would like to learn more about federal judiciary and how the courts work, take a few minutes to visit the links below. Okay.
See, that's what I'm saying. Is wherever it was, like, it was on that website. And it just said federal courts or Article 3 courts, establishment of the Constitution. And I showed him it. I said, thank God. I said, it's on your uscourts.gov website. It's not some Fremantle, Montana website. I said, because this is your website. I said, so I throw this at these people, saying it's a federal court, not a United States District Court. I said, because every time you say United States District Court, that was like created like in 1938 or something like that. I said, that's a new creation, and it's administrative, and it does, like U.S. citizens and persons like Coca-Cola can sue there. So I said, in the common law court, Coca-Cola can't sue in the common law court because only man has rights. Coca-Cola has duties and privileges, and they're chartered. I said, a man can move in common law. Coca-Cola can't. Coca-Cola has to appear in a code court because they were established based on some sort of codes. I said, I wasn't created under a code. And that's what I said to them. I said, look, I said, a code. I said, like I said, the marshals obviously didn't know. But I said, you actually know where the codification of the codes come from. said, what branch of the government codifies the public law? And he was like, I don't know. I said, well, no branch of the government codifies public law. I said, it's a private publishing corporation called Thompson's out of Canada. They come down and they read the public law. They unroll the public law in the Library of Congress vault, and they interpret the public law, and they codify it. They create a code out of it. So, now, if they're misinterpreting the public law, what am I going to do? Sue Thompson's, the publishing company who actually creates the United States Code? I said, that's where our codes come from. A publishing company comes down from Canada, goes to the Library of Congress, opens up their vault, rolls out the parchment paper that all the congressmen signed, that's the public law, and they read it. And they interpret it, and they make our code for us. Isn't that lovely? I said, so I'm going to hope that some Canadian guy got it right. I said, this is ridiculous. I don't move on the code, but Coca-Cola and Pepsi has to. Not me. So if they try to move a code before you, you tell me, what? That's a code. You know what? You bring the law before the court. Because you can only move if the law's before the court, not a code. Bring the law. Good luck with that. Good luck bringing the law before the court, because what you're bringing is a code that was written by Thompson's, the publishing company. They codify the public law. So I said, why in God's name would I want to operate under a code that some Canadian guy wrote? What happened to the Canadian guy said, let's make a typo here. Let's put an extra comma or a period, or let's put this in uppercase and lowercase. Let's just mess with people. What am I going to do? Sue a publishing company in Canada? That's ridiculous. So if you want to be controlled by a code world, you just go right ahead. I just stand in common law all the time. And I said, well, once we turn into a code world, I told the marshals, I said, oh well, I said, I'll be a good little code citizen. And I said, the rest of my family lives in Germany and France still. They're not all sitting in jail. They're not in a FEMA camp over there. They're doing fine. I said, I'll do fine over here too. I can live in a code world. I said, I'm a good guy. I said, I just like living in a common law country. And I said, I'm doing my best to keep it common law. So, like I said, it's always best to use their websites. So, use the U.S. court's websites. Because it says federal, federal, federal. Like I said, my dad just died. His name is Karl Lentz. My name is Karl Rudolph Lentz. Just because the names kind of sound the same and kind of the words are kind of arranged in kind of a similar manner, we're two totally different persons. I can't be held liable for his nonsense, and he can't be held liable for my nonsense. So you can't possibly tell me the federal court and the United States District Court are the same person. That's ridiculous. The federal court has a whole bunch of different rules. That it was established under the Article 3 of the Constitution. The United States District Courts were created in 1938. So what are we talking about here, people? There's two different, like that's my great-great-grandpappy named federal court. You know, I'm the son, I'm the United States District Court, I'm the great-great-grandson of federal court, but we're not the same person. We're not the same entity. So don't try to tell me you're the same and you move by the same rules. You don't. One moves under code, and one moves under the Article 3 of the Constitution. Moves under the rules of the Constitution. So a private court does not have to give you any constitutional rights. When you walk in the United States District Court, they can say, what constitutional rights? You're in the wrong court. They're not going to tell you they're in the wrong court. They're going to say, you ain't got no constitutional rights here. What are you talking about? You got a code claim? You want to make a claim? You want to make a civil rights complaint under a code? That we'll hear. But it's like I said to them, they didn't know what to do. They said, you're making a claim. They're like, yeah. They said, we don't know what buttons to hit on our computer. We don't have, like, buttons on our computer for claims. We don't have buttons on our computer for complaints. I tape recorded that man William talking to me from the front of the court's office. He says, I have to put you under Title 42. He says, there's no other title that you fit under. I said, I don't want to be codified under some code that some Canadian company created. It's a Canadian company created that title code number. I said, well, it's like, well, that's software we have on this computer. We have to put you in under Title 42 somewhere. I said, that's ridiculous. Keep me in the federal court. I said, don't try to get me in to go into a United States District Court. It won't work because that's a complaint side of the court. I'm filing on a claim side of the court. He said, well, I don't know what to do. I said, sir, the best thing to do then is to do nothing. I said, you don't know what to do. Just let the defendants answer my claim. If they don't answer it, then I'll tell you just to sign the orders and send it back to me. I said, it's just a claim, sir. It's not a complaint. So like I said, I threw the CD to the U.S. Marshals. I said, there's like 30, 40 phone calls on here to the district court. I said, and I recorded it, so you better believe I was nicer than pie to these people. I said, I was nice to these women, I was nice to these men. I said, because I said to the marshals, I said, if you know you're being recorded, you're going to be super nice and polite, right? He's like, well, absolutely. I said, well, I was super nice and polite. Because I knew I was being recorded, because I was recording it. And I want to be able to use this as evidence against them. So, of course, when I throw it in front of the jury, I want the jury to say, oh, he's a nice man. He speaks nice to these court people. He's not a terrorist. He's nice and polite. I understand what this man is trying to say. So I put everything on recording. So the marshal guys just laughed. They said, oh, you're too funny. You got like all your angles covered. I said, you better believe it. I said, you're suing them for $1 gazillion and you're going after a state and the government. I said, you better believe you better know what you're doing so you don't waste your time. So it should be interesting, like I said, in the next couple of weeks, seeing how they're going to handle sending back the orders. You know, because that's what's great about dealing with a federal court is if you get an order for $300 gazillion, the U.S. Marshals will go carry it out for you. If you get an order in a county court or a state court, you got to figure out how you're going to collect the judgment. You could file like a writ of debt and try to go get a writ of attachment and try to go get the sheriff's department to go carry it out for you. But with a federal court, it's great. You just hand it over to the federal marshals and they'll go carry it out for you. You don't have to try to figure out once a judgment comes from a federal court. They already have a way to execute the orders. Marshals will go out and do it for you. So, like I said, the only other thing that everybody makes a mistake with, I heard some other lady doing yesterday, some Janet Marie lady, she got arrested the other day. I don't know if you know Janet Marie. She does like...
I love her.
Yeah, she does community call like 2009. Well, she tried to... she got stopped by a young policeman about 2 weeks ago, and she did this conditionally accept your offer upon qualified proof of claims that are a secured party creditor to the cops. So the cop was just totally bamboozled, had no idea where she's coming from, so just let it go. Well, a week later, he said, I'm going to fix this lady's wagon. So he followed us. I guess she's about your age, and she lives out there in California too, and so the guy stopped her a week later. So she tried to do, I conditionally accept the offer, they give you my driver's license, blah, blah, blah. She only rolled down the window a little bit. So then 2 seconds later, she said there was like 10 cops around her. She called up Tom, and Tom tried to call me, so we'd be witnesses to this lady, doing this conditional acceptance stuff with the cops. So Tom, there's 2 people that actually recorded it. They busted in her driver's window and dragged her out of a car. She's an old lady. They were like, holy cow. The cops are brutal. So they dragged her and they had her in jail for a day. And then Tom ran up there. Tom ran up there with a trying to move it over to the common law side. He had some paperwork that me and him always do. But I do it in 1 page. He does it in 9 pages. But at least when she got to arraignment, the magistrate said, yes, Tom did bring the paperwork up here. So Tom went there to bail her out and get her out. That reclamator guy, that Tom Murphy guy. So people say that Tom Murphy's, it goes off a little bit on his Clean Water Act. Well, if he's still a good guy, he'll come and help you if you're there. He'll run to the court and hand paperwork into you. I don't know too many people who do that, but he's a real good guy. So, but when she was on her show and she was still making mistakes, and she was saying, well, I'm going to file a counter complaint against these people. I said, no, you're going to file a claim against their complaint. And I said, your claim is going to go on top of their complaint, so you're going to go first. I said, because you're going to file a claim that they violated your rights, they interfere with your rights to travel, you're going to make $1 million claim for all kinds of broken windows and all kinds of nonsense. I said, you're going to make a claim, and they have to hear your claim first before they can hear a complaint. So once you get it filed with the prosecutor, I said, they'll probably try to work on towards some sort of a settlement if you know how to do your paperwork. I said, but you don't file a cross complaint against the fiction and law. I said, because then it reduces your status to a fiction and law. So you don't want to file a counterclaim or cross-claim or a counter-complaint. You don't want to do any of this cross nonsense, because you want to leave them in their ridiculous code world, and you want to file an original claim in your common law court. I said, you could present it to the same judge. He's supposed to wear the same, he's supposed to be able to change hats, at a drop of a, drop of a hat. He's supposed to be able to shift courts. say, well, I have a common law claim here in front of me. This lady's claiming that this lady, you know, anybody here from the other side is going to make a claim, you know, deny this woman's claim that they interviewed.
I got a couple of questions here for you if you want to take them.
Yeah, go ahead. I love questions.
Go ahead, guest 41. Did you have a question for Karl? You've been unmuted. Perhaps you have to unmute your phone.
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
I was wondering, where could I find his lawsuit page that he sent in that was so simple?
Well, what's the... let me walk towards the computer. I'll just type in my email address, and you could just... yeah, because like I said, my fair warning, I give everybody fair warning before you talk.
Hey, don't I have it on the website?
I didn't see it up there.
Yeah, I'll...
Go to myprivateaudio.com, go to the guest speakers page, and then click on Karl. Lentz.
Karl.
Yeah, that's a 4-page one. I got a 1-page one.
Yeah, that's what I wanted, that 1-page one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because then what I do too is what you have to do though before you file a lawsuit, you have to do a fair warning. So you give them six lines in your fair warning, and you know, I'll find it real quick. But ask if you got another question, ask and I'll find it real quick for you with a fair warning. The fair warning is so simple, it's scary. But first,
But you want me to put your email address in the chat?
Yeah, I put it up there. Oh, because that's only for talk show people. That's all. I've got 100 different email addresses.
Which one do you want on here?
Oh, the one I typed on there, kl.tv2@gmail.com.
Oh, did you do it? Oh, okay. Oh,
What
I
is
see.
it now?
Yeah. KL
Okay.
direct.
Yeah.
K is in
Direct.
Karl. L is in Lentz. Direct.
Mm-hmm.
B2.
B2@gmail.com.
Okay.
Because like I said, here it is.
I appreciate it. I'd like to see that fair warning deal too.
Yeah, the fair
I'd like
warning.
to do that because these guys down here in Amarillo, Texas, they're crooked.
Well, there you go.
They'll take you to... Oh, the judge, the clerks, none of them want to hear nothing. I mean, you could go in there and try to file anything on them. They don't want to accept anything.
Yeah, because if you look back in the 1990s, especially since you're in Amarillo, you could read probably in the local newspapers that free men of like Montana people were flooding the Texas courts with liens on the court personnel. So that's why they're very hesitant to do anything for you folks anymore, because they're just like, what we dealt with you guys 15, 20 years ago, we're done. We're done. So like I said, the simple thing, the fair warning thing, I give everybody. Because like I said, it's simple. I'll read it real quick because it's simple. I, and then you make your name, gave no entity the right to administrate my property. So it's like I, whatever your name is, Bob Johnson, gave no entity, you know, known as the DHR, the right to administrate my property. So little old ladies like this, then they're trying to get their grandkids back from like CPS. So this is how I sent it to some lady. But you could use it for a car, you could use it for a tow truck, you know, tow your car away, you can do it for anything. You just say, I, Bob Johnson, gave no entity the right to administrate my property. Number two, I say that, you know, Baby Johnson is my property. This is what I was doing with little old ladies. I say that blank is my property. Number three, I say that no man or woman will make a claim saying my claim is untrue. Number four, I want my property returned to me. There you go. Number five, said properties to be totally under my control, post-haste, you know, within 3 days, whatever time limit you want to give them. And then number six, it just says, I will charge the wrongful holder of said property X amount of dollars for every, you know, whatever you want to do, every minute, every day said property is not returned, starting on the 22nd day after they've received this summons and this suit, you know, see attached claim. So it's simple. You just make it simple. You just say, I give nobody the right to administrate my property. Number two, I say that's my property. Number three, no man or woman is going to come in open court and claim that my claim is untrue. Four, I want my property returned to me. Five, I want it done in like 2 days or less. And six, I'm going to start charging you money. 20, because you're supposed to give them 21 days to answer a lawsuit. So on day 22, I'm going to start charging you, because within that 21 days, it gives them the opportunity to try to make a settlement if you on a private side.
And the 21 days gives them time to make a settlement.
Right, it gives them, you know, time to make a settlement with you on a private side. So then day 22, you're going to start charging them. Now, just in court, and you're going to move it. You're going to move it before a trial by jury, and you're going to get you back.
Well, I mean, they get tough down here. They're rough. I mean, they won't accept any paperwork or anything. I mean, you can hardly even...
That's why you
can't believe nothing that these guys say, you know.
Well, that's why you got to make it incredibly simple. I've seen some nonsense that some man down there is being held in jail. I forgot what his name was. Everybody on these talk shows know who this man is. And I saw this ridiculous nonsense, and I read what the Attorney General of Texas said this was, and the federal judge said, you know, I read this gibberish. It took me forever to read this gibberish, and, you know, this is just all nonsense.
Yeah.
Some big heavy guy who's starting a church down there, and now they're thinking about deporting him back to Canada. He's got a short name. Everybody on these talk shows know who he is.
Talking about Robert Box?
That's it. That's him.
Yeah.
I read
railroad him.
Put it on the chat.
I read his whole case. Man, I read all the stuff the Patriots sent in for him, and oh my God, when the district court and the Attorney General says it's gibberish, believe me, it's gibberish. He could have done it in one page. Yeah. There's no reason to write 800 pages. Just write one page.
Yeah, just write one page, like you said. I'd like to see that one page. I'll go to your email site and get that off of there.
Right,
it's on there.
Right, because you can just send me an email. I'll attach it and send it to you. But what I'm saying is, your body is your property. So who's got the right to touch your body? Who's got the right to administrate my property without my consent, including my body?
Yeah.
You know, tell me I violated a code. Who wrote the code? Are you kidding me? Some Canadian company called Thompson's codified the public law, and you're saying because Thompson said that this is what the law is Thompson's going to come before court and swear that that's exactly what the public law says? I don't think so. So who said that you don't have no right to administrate? Because rights are reserved to man. Rights aren't to a government. Governments don't have rights. They have a duty and obligation, privileges. They don't have rights. Right.
They're supposed to protect us, uphold our rights, but they don't do it. They never do it.
But what I'm saying is because it to me is like I said, when you write one page, you could keep within your rights. Once you start going more than one sentence, two sentences long, I'm serious, you're going to make a mistake. The shorter you can make it, the quicker. Say, I am a man, I have rights secured and protected me by the Constitution. That's how I define me. That's me. That's a whole entire lawsuit. That's all I am. I'm a man, I have rights, and my rights are secured and protected by the Constitution. Period. I'm done.
I appreciate you, buddy.
Right, no
You're a smart man.
Well,
I need all the smart people I can get on my side down here in this place. They are crooked as hell.
Well, you just got to stay away from this Yahweh stuff. You got to stay away from it.
They hit me up on this damn ticket, you know, and then they took and beat the shit out of me because I called him a liar.
Yeah.
And I'm a crippled guy.
Yeah.
I got a bad back. They beat me up, and then they wrenched my neck, and now I have neck problems over this damn deal. And I've tried to do everything I can to explain it to them. You know, I didn't do anything wrong. One officer said no, the light was green. The other officer said no, it was red. They couldn't make up their damn minds.
That was like I said to that poor Janet Marie lady. She started to negotiate or whatever on the side of the highway. Now, I'm not going to conduct this with cars going by me 70 miles an hour. Take your ticket. You know, that's wonderful. He's like, okay, you're giving me a ticket. That's wonderful. You order me to do something, right? Okay, great. Now, if the judge is going to order me to do something, I'm going to want compensation. Anytime a man gets ordered to do something, you can make a claim for compensation. If he orders you to wash your windows, or his windows, or he orders you to mow his lawn. Anybody orders you to do anything, only man has rights in this country. If we live in a code country, we're screwed. They can create all kinds of orders, and we just got to do it like a little robot. But in this country, only a man can make a claim against you that you did him harm. Now, a government can't make a claim that you did him harm. One, they can't be harmed. They could be injured. They can't make a claim. The government makes criminal complaints against you. They make complaints. They're whining about something. There's no harm. They're whining about something.
I tried to get in there this, I brought fraud up on the court and stuff, but, I'll tell you what, I'm trying to get this judge out of there, but this is a tough deal down here. I mean, they can just take and beat the shit out of you for no reason, excuse my language, for no reason, just because you say, no, you're wrong, you're a liar. Yeah, they don't like it.
It's not fraud on the court. Fraud on the court is more like a legalese term of art. What you say is, you defrauded. Defrauded is the word that normal man uses. Fraud is the word.
Fraud on the court, defrauded the court.
Well, you're a man and you were defrauded of your rights. So you were defrauded of your rights. You know, somebody tricked you into doing something, or somebody tricked somebody, and your property is taken. Because your property are your rights. Because like I said, everybody knows John Locke. Well, everybody should probably know John Locke, who I'm talking about on these calls. John Locke made an example. He said, your property is whatever you claim your rights, and nobody can interfere with your rights. Like, you have the right to breathe. You have the right to dream. You can't sell your rights. You can't sell your rights to dream. You can't say to me, hey, Karl, I'll pay you. Give me $50 and I'll give you my dreams. Because that's ridiculous. Yeah. You have the right to dream. You have the right to have a heartbeat. You have the right to have a pulse. You have rights, and nobody can interfere with that right. So if somebody's making your pulse race, or your heart get high blood pressure, or stressing you out, they have no right to do that. Because that's your body, that's your person, that's your property. They have no right to interfere with your property, or administrate your property. They have no rights to do it. They're a government. They're not supposed to be doing anything against the man. They're supposed to be here for our benefit, not to cause us harm.
Yeah, I tell you what, this is a bad place. I mean, I brought it up before the mayor and everybody, the appeals court and all.
You get it.
I tried to get it to the courts and everything, and to the federal courts. Well, we're not accepting this. Well, you have to, don't you?
Well, like I said, I make it so simple. Like I said, the marshals, when I left the marshal's office, it's like we could have been swapping chocolate chip cookie recipes. I mean, we were like, you make it simple, and you say, look, I'm doing this to protect this. I showed them a picture of the world. I said, look, all these blues, almost every country in the world is blue. There's only a couple of orange countries left. I said, if somebody doesn't defend this country and the rights to move under the common law, we're all going to be considered guilty until we can prove ourselves innocent like the rest of the world. I said, right now, only man has that right to stand in court and say, who's going to put me in jail, like the O.J. Simpson case. Somebody had to stand in court and point across that room and said, I saw O.J. kill her. And like I said, I swear to God, I was the only one, like in that big casino in Vegas, who was watching the verdict being read, who was happy that O.J. was found not guilty. I knew he killed his wife. There's no doubt about it. But in this country, there's still a rule of law, not the rule of man. So you still need a person to point across that room. The little old lady could have been there in Brentwood, California, said, I was there that night that O.J. did it. And he'd be going to jail for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
He went to jail, I would have been so disappointed. Everybody else would have been cheering up and down. Yay, he's going to jail. Oh, man, I thought we lived in a common law land. I'm so wrong. Holy cow. You can get thrown in jail without an eyewitness, without a man coming to court, swearing his hand on a Bible, and pointing across the room and saying, I saw that man kill her. If you can just get thrown in jail because of circumstantial evidence, DNA or a videotape or a telephone call, and you could go get the electric chair for a videotape. Oh, come on. I want at least one person to stand across that courtroom and swear on a stack of Bibles that he saw me do it. Even if O.J. had a twin, at least I know in this country the common law still prevails. With the O.J. Simpson case was the perfect case, that Marsha Clark did not have a man or a woman to stand in court, point a finger across the room. And even, like I said, thank God, all the jury people said after 30 days, a little black, if you watch the interviews, a little black lady, 56 years old, says after 30 days, everybody on the jury, we all knew Marsha Clark had what it took to get a murder warrant on this guy. She was missing the witness. So we all knew it was a waste of time. The other year that she had us in there was a total waste of time. We were all going to say O.J. was not guilty until she could produce somebody in that courtroom to point across the room and said, I've seen that man do it. Because this is a common law country. So it's like, oh, thank God, even that little black 56-year-old jury lady knew that we live in a common law country. I was like, oh, God bless that lady.
Thank God someone's standing up out there, you know?
Right, so once you guys start realizing what a common law country really is, and it's right on the federal website, stop reading these other websites, these Free Men of Montana websites. It's right there in uscourts.gov. That's my roadmap. That's what I'm doing to move this to a federal court. This is how I'm going to get their oaths of office. This is how I'm going to go up to their boss. I throw their own paper at them. I said, it says right here on the uscourts.gov website, you have to do it. You have to do this. What is your website line? So when the marshals seen how I was using their own website, they're like, huh, that's exactly what that site says. I said, that's right. And you carry out the business of the court, right? He's like, yes. There you go. So am I within the law? He says, you're absolutely within the law. I said, I'm absolutely within my rights, right? You're absolutely within your rights. I'm not doing anything wrong, am I? He's like, absolutely not.
Yeah, I appreciate all your help that you're giving people out here. I mean, this is just God sent. This is, I hope so. We really need to, people need to stand up and say, hey, quit doing us like this. This is an animal treatment. I mean, I wouldn't treat my dog like that. You know?
Right. There's a lot of good
It's terrible.
I mean, there's a lot of good guys like Billy Thornton. He's a good guy, but he writes too much. He writes the law of the case. He writes 50 pages of law of the case. I say it's this way. Who's going to come and say that it's not this way? See, that's my law. I'm bringing the law to the court. This is my law. I say you can't do this to me. Now, who's going to come on the other side and says I can do this to you? Oh, you really think you can? Great, lovely. Let's get a jury and let the jury decide who's right, me or you. That's it. Not 50 pages of explaining Hale versus Hinkle, versus Benton, U.S. versus Georgia. I don't care. That was them. I don't know what they were doing in that courtroom 100, 200 years ago. I don't really care. Now I know this is my courtroom. You did me wrong. You're saying you didn't do me wrong. Great, wonderful. Let's get in front of the jury tomorrow. Let's get this over.
Yeah, I don't trust the juries either. I'm sorry, but that's...
I've got the doctor even saying that there's a claim against them for doing me like that. That they hurt my neck and now my hands are numb because of it.
Right, but like I said,
what I mean?
Like I said, Angela, you said you don't like the jury, but what I'm saying, when it's against the government realizes that if you're moving into common law, the attorney for the government can't speak. So you're the only one entrusting the jury. They can't produce any facts or evidence or move the court for any summary judgment. They can't do anything, the attorneys. Now, if you want to cite a case, that's Trinzi versus Pagliaro, 1964, where the United States Supreme Court ruled that an attorney cannot even notice the court, can't hand them any facts, can't present any evidence, can't motion the court, can't ask for a judgment. An attorney can't do anything in a common law court.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about that, and I haven't posted on the homepage. It's the Richard Carnforth's deal.
Right. Erwin Schiff's. On Erwin Schiff's thing, you got it on too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I'll get off of here and let you guys hit somebody else. I appreciate all the help, buddy, and God bless you people. Thanks for helping me out. I mean, I need all the help I can get.
And no problem.
Yeah, appreciate you. Bye.
Good luck. Thank you so much. Okay, we have Iowa. Hold on, let me get her. Oh, they're gone. Oh, well. Sorry. This went on and on too long, I guess. Which we have a tendency to do.
Well, maybe we answered the question that the Iowa... See, that's what I think is happening, too. I think so many people are listening to me now so many times. I think people are starting to get how simple I am. And this is what I told you the first time I talked to you. I said, Angela, really? I said, I could talk for 2-3 hours and I'm done. Stuff isn't complicated. It's too simple. And I said, I'm just trying to get to the simple man and woman to understand.
Well, plus you're slowed down a little bit. You used to go so damn fast. It was hard to keep up with what you were saying. It's like, oh my God.
I think
slow down.
I think you guys are getting used to me. I think that's the whole trick too. And
no, you're slowing down a little bit. Thank you.
Yeah, but like I said, I try to just make things so beyond simple that the common man or the common woman can just say, oh my God. I have so many little old ladies who call me right up to me and say, oh, I could dance. This is so simple. I send them stuff and I'm like, yeah, man. They're like, oh, we spend tens of dollars, and I'm like, you don't have to spend tens of thousands of dollars. This is a common law country. Just drag it over to the common law side. They're going to kick and scream and try to stop you, but you just drag it over, and they have to let you do it as long as you keep it simple. Don't use any of their words. If you use their words, you lose your court, and it goes back over to their side. Don't
so you're going to send me that one-pager so I can put it up there, and also the notification document, or whatever that was. You said you had another one-page notifying them?
Yeah, right. It's fair warning. You have to give fair warning. Like
fair warning.
You Google the word fair warning, and it'll just say that if you honestly really want to sue somebody, you have to give them fair warning to try to settle a matter on a private side at least one more time before you drag them before a jury. So it's fair warning.
Yeah, in the quiet title, John calls it, notification?
I don't like using simple words that they can't possibly say that I'm trying to play attorney, because once you're playing pro se, or
notice of intent to sue, that's what it is.
That sounds a little complicated. I just like it simple.
Notice of intent, fair warning, I like it.
I'm giving you fair. This is your last shot. It's better to say this is your last shot. You can tell it, this is your last shot. I'm giving you fair warning. You know, so I just like to make it simple, because as soon as they think that you're trying to play one up, like you think you know you're an attorney, you think you're playing an attorney, you wish you were an attorney kind of thing, they're going to clobber you. So you know what? You make it so freaking simple. And like I said, it was great with the marshals. They were like, you know, well, the courthouse just really wants to have an assessment of you. They don't know what to think of you. I said, well, what are you going to tell them? He said, well, sir, honestly, after 5 minutes of talking law, once you started talking law, he said, you lost me. I said, I can't keep up with you. I said, don't feel bad. I said, the FBI man down the road, I said, I had a conversation with him a couple of months ago, and he could only keep up with me for about 10 minutes, and he went to a fancy law school like Harvard, Yale. He says, oh, you talking about the man on Franklin Street? I said, yeah. I said, I don't remember his name. I said, but he could only keep up with me after 10 minutes. Of course, I just went so fast. He says, yeah, you know the common law like the back of your hand. I said, because it's simple. I said, so simple. I said, there's only a couple of steps. There's only like 6, 7 steps, and you're done. I said, this isn't rocket science. I said, this is how your grandpappy lived. I said, this is how my dad and his grandfather, my grandfather lived. They didn't read or write English. They can move through court in 20 minutes. They didn't know anything about a code. There wasn't codes around back then for these people. How did the country exist before the codes started coming out in 1938? How did it exist? I said, because law was simple. Did you do something wrong? The man had to appear in court and testify against you. The plaintiff must appear. It's an ancient common law thing that's been around for thousands and thousands of years. Because if you point a finger and you said he did me wrong, and you bear false witness against thy neighbor, you died. You know, it was a death sentence. So that's why nobody was crazy enough to file false claims or frivolous claims. Nobody was crazy enough to do that, because whatever punishment you wanted for the defendant got to do it to you if you lost. So bringing to somebody in court was a really dangerous thing to do for thousands of years. I said, so common law is incredibly simple. I said, so that's how you beat the government all the time, because the government needs to have the plaintiff appear. Now, the prosecutor is appearing for the plaintiff, but the guy who's making it's a plaintiff. Again, it's a complaint, not a claim. See, so like I said, I don't even bother answering. When somebody's complaining, it's like, say, like a wife complaining or a husband complaining. You just say, you know what, you're complaining again. You know what, I'm not even going to answer that. I'm not dealing with it. It's a complaint. You got a claim, state your claim. You know, your claim is 2 sentences long. Prove it. Can you prove it? Yeah, okay. Then I did it or I didn't do it. It's like, okay, I got pictures of you being with this woman next door. You know, the neighbor saw you do it. She said it. Okay, you got a claim? Yeah, okay. Well, okay, you got me busted. That's a claim. A complaint is like, oh, you're looking at her again. Yeah, you must be messing around with her. Aren't you? Like, oh, here we go again. Another complaint. So you guys got to learn the difference between complaints and claims. That's a huge thing. Because claims are done in one page, complaints go on forever. It's just like I said, it's exactly what a complaint or plaintiff means. It's a French word for like a nagging old hag. That's what a plaintiff is. You know, you don't call somebody a plaintiff in France, man. He'll smack you. You know, it's like, I'm not a plaintiff. I'm not nagging. You know, that's what it means. Somebody who's nagging. You know, it's like, I'm not a plaintiff. And that's what I told the district court. I said, stop calling me a plaintiff. I'm not nagging. I'm making a claim. Is anybody claiming that my claim is not true? I said, you know, that's all I want to hear, yes or no. I'm not making a complaint. No, I'm not complaining. I'm not a plaintiff. So the whole trick is, like I said, just say you're making a claim. I'm a man and I have rights, and it's protected and secured by the United States Constitution. There you go. And then I'm going to make the people hold up their oaths of office to the Constitution. Did they or did they not, under Article 6, 2, and 3, swear to uphold the Constitution as the law of the land? That's the next step. After I demand that they send my audit back signed, sealed, and delivered, which they're not going to do, I said to the marshals, then I'm going to have to hold them to their oaths of office. And then when they don't uphold their oaths of office, then I'm going to go after their bond. I said, it's going to be that simple. And I showed them the book. I opened up the book and I said, look, under Section 61, public employees, public officials, and bonds. And he's like, holy cow, man, you got this thing all covered. I said, yes. I said, I'm not stupid. I said, I'm coming to the Marshal Service. And I said, I'm going to show him the bonds under Section 61. It says an official bond is an instrument under seal by which a public officer undertakes to pay a sum of money if he does not faithfully discharge his office, or by which a surety undertakes that if the officer does not do so, the surety will be liable in a penal sum. It says, well, more generally, an official bond is the bond of a public officer, and it has to be held that every bond executed by an officer in obedience to the law, in which the surety undertakes that he shall discharge a public duty imposed upon him by law, is called an official bond. I said, so that's what I'm going to do. I said, I want to ask for their official bonds, if they're bonded. And it just says the filling of an official bond is generally regarded as a necessary prerequisite to fill the title of an office. It is a condition precedent to the right of a person elected or appointed to be inducted into office, and without such a bond, one is not entitled to the office and may not legally hold or discharge any of the functions of that office. So I said, there you go. I'm going to demand that they put up their bond. If they don't have a bond, they can't officially or legally put up, discharge their functions of that office. I said, they're officers of the court. So all
I love that.
Right. I scanned it. I could send you that little one-page thing. I pulled it right out of their book. I showed them the book.
Please do.
I threw the book on the table. I said, because only 3 men in Montana people say public performance bonds, hazard bonds. No, there's only 3 types of bonds. There's official bonds, fidelity bonds, and surety bonds.
I like the free men of Montana. Stop talking about them.
I love it too. That's what I told the marshals. I said, I'm guilty of sin. I love that free men of Montana stuff. I said, believe me. I said, I thought these guys were great. I said, my sister had us for one of the Spice's brothers' houses up here on a mountain in Virginia. I said, we had a free man of Montana lady living in a cottage in the back of our house. She was a lovely lady. I said, I love that stuff. I said, but I see where they went wrong. They started doing all these crazy checks and side drafts and going after the IRS. I said, I don't have nothing to do with mine. I said, I got a wonderful place up here. I don't need nobody's money. I said, that's where they went wrong, is they started going after it for the money instead of doing it for the principle. I said, I'm doing it for the principle. I said, they did it for the money. I said, if I get some money out of this, well, wonderful. If I don't, big deal. I said, I'm certainly not going to write crazy checks like these guys did and do site drafts and use birth certificates to try to monetize my accounts. I'm not into that crazy stuff. They were using Department of Agriculture's rounding numbers to buy all kinds of stuff. I said, that was insane what they were doing. You know, but God bless them. If that's what they thought was the right thing to do to get back at, you know, the government for doing what they were doing to them, if they wanted revenge, that's fine. I don't want revenge. I was going to sue them for $1, but the Department of Justice told me not to. He said, nobody's going to take you, they're going to pay you $1, and it's going to be done. He says, then where are you going to be? I said, oh yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
He's
but
like,
then you have your win on the record.
yeah, and then you could point. Right, then you could go afterwards later on. But like I said, I like what he just said. He says, make it a whopper. He says, but that'll get everybody's attention. Oh, that's what the Marshal Service said too. He says, oh, you got everybody's attention, all right. That's exactly what he said. So I went down to the Marshal Service in November, and first I went to the district court local down here in Roanoke, and I asked them, can you read my lawsuit? I said, it's simple. Can you just read it? And they were like, no. So I went to the Marshal Service, and I said to the Marshal Service, I want you to carry out a couple of writs for me. I got to send them down to Alabama. This doesn't make any sense to you. So they read them real quick, and they're like, nah, we don't do stuff like this. And they just basically blew me off. So when they got a call to come back down there 2 months later, it's like, well, you guys kind of blew me off 2 months ago. He's like, yeah, well, now you definitely got our attention. He says, can you please come down here again? I said, oh, no, now you want to talk to me. He says, oh, yeah. He said, you got our attention now with that paperwork. He said, somebody in the courthouse read that paperwork, and they know what you're doing. They want us to talk to you and find out just who you are and like what's your goals. What are you trying to do with this? I said, yeah, because with this paperwork, honestly, I said, I can wind up owning the state of Alabama, couldn't I? He said, we need to talk to you now. Because there needs to be a man who's going to have to come forth on the other side and say they did not do me wrong. Good luck with that. And I can claim anything. I can claim the whole entire state. What are they going to do? How are they going to say that's outrageous? Okay, who's saying it's outrageous? Somebody's going to have to come forth and say that it's outrageous. And then I'm going to have to get it before a jury. And then the jury's going to tell me I'm outrageous. The jury's going to say, look, here's $5. You know, have a nice day, sir. Trying to claim the whole state? Yeah, you're crazy. But $5 worth, here you go. you're worth $5 or $1 million. Whoever knows what the jury decides. But that's the whole trick. You know, you've got to keep it on the common law side. And they realizing I'm fighting like, you know, an alley cat to try to keep it on the common law side. And they want me to bring it over to the civil rights side. And I don't have civil rights. That's what I told them. I said, civil rights are only for certain protected individuals in society, and I'm not it. It's not a prophylactic remedy for all society's ills. I said, that's Scalia, U.S. versus George in 2006. And they're like, holy cow. You can do this stuff right off the top of your head. I said, absolutely. And so when you're suing somebody for millions of dollars, you better believe you better know this stuff off the top of your head. Because you got to get before the jury, and you better be quick. That's why I say to everybody, just make it these one-page lawsuits. That way you can get in front of a jury and just keep it quick. Because when you make a claim, you can't modify it by one word. And you get challenged by the man in the black robe or in front of a jury, you have to just keep saying that one sentence like a broken record. Because that's what it is. You pressed upon the record your word. And you can't modify it by one word. You can't start changing your claim. Either you did, you know, like I said, discover the South Pole, or you didn't. If they say, well, come on, maybe you're off by 1 millimeter. It's like, no, because if you say you're off by 1 millimeter, well, then you didn't discover the South Pole. They'll say, oh, come on, be reasonable about this. Come on, reasonable, come on. It was 100 degrees below zero. It was snowstorms. You were sick. You were dying. You were starving. Come on, maybe you're off by 1 millimeter. Maybe your compass froze. Come on, maybe, come on. Just say maybe. Maybe I was off by 1 millimeter. As soon as you change your word by 1 little millimeter, your whole claim falls through and you don't get a penny. And your case gets kicked out of court. So that's the whole trick, too. Don't fall for this lawyer nonsense when they try to say, be reasonable. Don't be reasonable. You make your claim. Your word is your bond. You don't ever alter your claim. You don't change the word. You know, that's why I tell everybody, do it in one sentence or less. That way you have too much to say in court. You can't possibly make a mistake. You write 800 pages. Of course you're not going to be able to remember it and say it under oath of affirmation in open court.
Nobody's going to read it either.
Right, but you have to make your claim under oath of affirmation in open court. You have to.
I'm saying an 800-page document, nobody's going to read it.
Right, because if you don't, that's what Richard Cornforth tells you. If you don't make your claim in open court under oath of affirmation, it could be considered a void judgment. Somebody could come back 100 years from now and say, but Mr. Lentz or Miss Angela, you did not do it in open court under oath of affirmation. So that makes it a void judgment. You have to do it in open court under oath of affirmation. So make it your claim, one sentence. Make it super simple, like I said, like I do. I just say it's so simple. Forgery. The DHR uttered a forged instrument which interfered with my rights. I can remember that. See Exhibit C. You know, it's like, there you go. And the marshals looked at Exhibit C, and they go, this is the contract? I was like, yeah. He's like, this has to do with the grandma and uncle taking in a granddaughter and to live in an apartment. What does this have to do with a newborn Downs baby boy in a hospital and what? I said, absolutely. I said, how lazy could these people be? It's a standard form, standard contract form. I said, you think they could have at least wrote my name, my wife's name on a blank form, my baby's name on a blank form, made our signatures on a blank form, and signed and sealed and stamped it by the clerk of the court. You know, you'd think they would have taken 5 minutes out to at least make a fake contract. No. They just grabbed somebody else's contract and threw it in the case file. That's how lazy these people are. They just think that you can't ever get it heard before a court. That's how arrogant they are. Why should we even try to make a contract against you? You know, what court are you going to bring us into? Nobody cares, Mr. Lentz. Nobody's going to care. What are you going to do, sue us in federal court? We're federal agents. What are you going to do? Nobody's going to listen to you. So, like, holy cow, these people are right. So, like I said, the marshals, like I said, I talked to them for like 2 hours, and they said, yeah, you're right. You're really up against the wall on this one, ain't you? So you better believe it. I said, you know, so you got to do it methodically. You got to do it one step at a time. I said, now you got to hold them to their oaths of office. I said, I'll send that bond thing to you. I scanned it.
Okay.
You'll love it. It's simple. But,
I sent you a couple of emails already with reminders.
Okay, that's fine.
But send that one because I
Oh, that's not a
there
problem.
were several documents. I don't remember them all now.
Oh yeah, like I said, I made it really simple. Like I said, you guys had stuff before I filed the lawsuit. So the lawsuit I actually sent was really simple. I sent you, like, I filed a lawsuit like around December 1st. And that stuff that you guys got, I think it was like November 18th, 19th, 20th. So it was like, you know, you always tighten everything up, you know, like the last week or two before you get ready to send it to the court. So, yeah, like I said, you know, it's a lot simpler and like tighter. But has anybody got any questions on their hands or anything?
No. Anybody have questions? Speak now or forever hold your peace. We've gone over the 2-hour mark. I'm going to close the call out.
All right.
And later on tonight, if you send me those docs, I'll get them up there.
All right. What episode is this going to be?
This is episode 199.
All right, that's good, because somebody asked me what episode did I talk about these documents on. I'll tell them it's on 199.
Yeah, because I also have it posted where your name is on the guest speakers pages.
Okay.
Says, you know, what episodes you've been on.
Okay, yeah, like on that 190, like on a talk show one, if you can, put it on there, because a lot of people go to that talk show site. So I know I'm on 188, 189, I know I'm on. So a lot of people listen how I do traffic tickets. And that was like episode 189. Like episode 188 was CPS. You know, the family court was like episode 188. Like traffic tickets was like 189. Now this one will be one-page claims to any kind of court for any kind of property. Anything you claim is your property, your person is your property. So, like I said, that's what drove family court crazy, because I said, that's my child is my property. And it's like, oh, we don't call them property. I said, I looked over my wife and I said, she's my property. And they're like, oh, you know, they were like, how dare you call your wife your property? Like, I'm her property. And they were like, oh, that's horrible. You know, we don't talk like that anymore. It's like, she has the exclusive rights to enjoyment, and no other man or woman on a planet has that right to use me or touch me without her consent. And the same agreement I have with her, that I have the exclusive rights to enjoy her, and nobody has the right to touch it without my consent. I said, so no, it works out pretty nice. I said, we got married, and it's like 1 and 1 now equals 1. Now we're enjoined. I said, we are property to each other. I said, and that child is our fruit of our labors. We produced that child. He's our property. I'm like, oh, listen to this horrible language. I mean, it's just these black social workers go up bananas, you know, saying that we call each other property. I said, but she's property to me. Nobody else has the right to use or enjoy it but me. No, that child. That's my property. You know, like, oh, we don't use words like that anymore. I said, well, you could erase them out of your legal books, but in law, that's still my property is my rights. That is I have the right to that child, and nobody else does. So rights and property basically are the same word. So you really mess with people's heads when you say you have, you know, that's your property, and you say that's mine by right. So you could say it either way. You can say that's mine by right, or you say that's my property. And both are identical in law. But it just makes people go bananas nowadays when you call somebody their property. It just makes people real upset.
Hold on, somebody here has a question. ABC, hold there. Go ahead, ABCDEF4.
Hi, Ann. How you doing? This is Josie Lee.
Hi. Glad you made it on.
Yes. Hi, Karl.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. I had a quick question. I'm the one who typed into the chat board before about the jurisdictional challenge. And basically, the question was, I was arrested last Monday in regards to a dog bite where the police had to come to the home because the hospital called and made a report on it. And I guess they ran my name and they said that there was a warrant for my arrest from the Shawano County. And when this county filed charges on me for a DUI, supposedly a DUI, forced me into a plea deal and sent me to jail for 9 months. I served the time. When I got out, the court case was still under appeal, and I did a jurisdictional challenge to them. And this was back in, I was released July 5th, 2011.
Okay, a good man that Angela brought up before, and this I'm just going to cite him, so he's got a great 2-3. You might not be able to find it on YouTube, but you could go to Google and type out Richard. I'll type this. You're not on the chat board, are you?
Yes, I am.
Okay, it's Cornsforth. And any time the state makes moves the court and creates an order and tells you that it has a judgment passed against you, they're all void, because nobody came to open court under oath of affirmation and swore that you did it wrong, that you did something wrong. So what you could just say is that you are incompetent in that administrative court because you do not know code. I'm always incompetent. I'm always, and believe it or not, idiot is a legalese word that just says that I'm not competent to contract in an administrative court. So the judge says, so if the judge says to me, am I claiming, he will ask me, are you claiming you're an idiot? I said, absolutely. Bingo, you got it. So if he gets, he's like, oh, well, the man knows the law. We can't contract with an idiot or somebody who's incompetent. So now you have
to Google on YouTube.
Yeah, Richard Cornsforth. I'll put his last name in.
Yeah.
I just put the link in the chat on the top. That's the link to his clip on Trinity versus Pagliano.
Right. He has 3 hours worth of videos. I mean, it's really long. I think it's 4.5 hours altogether. It's like an hour, hour and a half, and like an hour. It's really long videos he has, but they're really good. But pay attention to when he gets to Trinity versus Pagliano. It's Pagliano with an R and an N. And all it's basically saying is that thank God this is a common law country, because you can't use this in France. So all you have to say is, I was not aware that I had the right to move this before in a common law court or a common law jurisdiction. I was confused. I was incompetent. Did you have an attorney when you entered that plea?
Actually, yes. And what had happened with the whole ordeal was, she was coming from the same county up to the hearing, which was supposed to be a jury trial. And I had sent in paperwork via email and fax for something, and they never notified me that all the highways were shut down to get up to this county, which is 2 hours away. And the attorney, who was a public defender, lives in the same county as I do. She never called me and told me. So what happened was, when I got there, they immediately brought me into the judge's chambers. The judge ended up basically saying to me, if I don't plead, he's going to send me to jail for contempt of court for being late for his jury trial. And I was hysterical. I was there all by myself. I didn't know what to do. And what happened was, they sent me to jail for 9 months.
Well, like I said, what's good about that Mr. Cornsforth thing is he talks about 3 or 4 hours, and all he talks about is void judgments. That's all he talks about. And he says 99% of judgments rendered in this country are void on their face if somebody did not come before open court and swear under oath of affirmation that you did wrong. Now, you entered a plea. That's not swearing. Nobody came before the court and swore on upon the record. Because as I said to Angela a while ago, somebody could come back years from now and say, well, Karl never swore in open court under oath of affirmation, before a jury. And that's what I want to do. I want to swear before open. I want to get into an open court. I don't want this to end on a piece of paper, because they could say, well, that judgment's void, because does Karl really exist? Is there a man really called Lentz? Did he ever make a physical appearance in Alabama? We've never seen this man. He's in Virginia. Just because he sent paperwork doesn't prove that he really exists. He needs to appear in open court and swear under oath of affirmation. So it's basically saying to you, that's why I say to people, listen to Richard Cornsforth. This is stuff that he drags on way too long.
It's just Cornforth, not Cornsforth. It's Cornforth.
No S? Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
No S.
Right. Yeah, that's a tough to find.
Well, this is basically the question. If I did the jurisdictional challenge in July of 2011, they basically sent back paperwork saying that we do have subject matter, jurisdiction matter over you. Your paperwork is frivolous, and they poo-pooed me right out with the letters. And then they basically sent me a letter that I owe them $20, not $2,300, but $20, and they were going to put it towards the tax. So when they arrested me on Monday, in order to get out of jail, those fines that were paid had to be paid up in Shawano. So it was a bail set at I think it was $2,300.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, you listen to my older videos. The older things I did on Angela's show was like 188 or 189, and I made it very simple. I said, whenever you go for an arraignment, all you do is say, may I have a pen and paper, and you just write, is there a claim before the court? See, because you can't speak in an arraignment. If you speak in an arraignment, the judge will say, he could throw the book at you because he'll say you stuck your tongue at him or you had an attitude. So I don't say anything to a man in a black robe because I don't recognize that he even exists. I just address the court. I write on top, I say, notice, is there any man making a claim before this court? Is there a claim before this court? Will this claim be verified in this court at this time? So like I said, they have to say that there is a claim before the court. They have to answer you. They have to say, yes, there is a claim, or yes, there is a man. If not, that's why you're always moving under the common law. Because if you answer a code, if they say, well, we picked you up under section 30305, 57D6, how do you plead? So plead to what? That dribble? I have no idea what the hell you just said. Oh, well, let me tell you what it means. No. I didn't write that code. I can't be held. It's like I didn't write that contract. I don't know what you're reading. I don't know how you're interpreting it. That's not my words. Those are your words. Don't tell me what they mean. And like I explained earlier on this call, the public law in this country is written by Congress. It gets sealed, enrolled, and involved in the Library of Congress. Nobody looks at it. The only people that look at it are the people who write the code book. So the code is written by some Canadians. So if you're saying that I'm in violation of a code that some Canadians wrote, I'm like, what? This is silly. All I'm here is the answer to the law. And all the law is in this country is common law. And all the law in this country is that I hurt a man. Is there a man or woman who's going to come forth with a claim that I caused them harm? Yes or no? That's this country. If you get tricked into going into France and answering under codes, well then, like I said, they just tricked you. Because like I said, your great-grandparents might not, like mine, didn't speak or read or write English. They didn't get tricked. When they went to court, they knew that there was a claim before the court that they did wrong. And they answered to the wrong. And that was it. It was over in 5 minutes. It didn't go on for, like you said, 9 months and appeals. There was none of this nonsense, 40, 50, 60 years ago. None of this nonsense existed. It's just a way for lawyers to make money and to make a huge legal industry to give them something to do, some money to make. So the whole thing is, like I said, learn what a void judgment is. Say that nobody came into and don't let anybody tell you that there's any such thing as a statute of limitations, because statutes of limitations don't apply to man. Man is not bound by latches. They're bound because they're bound.
So you're basically saying I don't have just 30 days to file a claim.
That's ridiculous.
Basically, what they did to me was they came and got me. They supposedly said that they had a warrant for this Shawano County and a warrant for Dodge County, but I never saw any of the warrants, and I know on firsthand that the one warrant for the county that I live in, which was for $300 from an attorney, which is a third-party debt collector, there was no signature or stamp from the judge. There was no judge's signature on it.
That's what I said to everybody, too. I said, when you ever look...
Almost like extortion. They basically paid the judgment of $2,300 and got me right out. I didn't even go in front of a judge or anything.
Okay, look at it this way. I'm suing the federal court for $1 gazillion, okay? They handed me 2 orders. One was like 7 pages long, one was 9 pages long. You know what I did? I didn't read them. Why? Why bother? Because it's all legalese. I don't speak legalese. So see, this is what I'm saying. You're reading all this stuff that they're writing back to you, and you're trying to figure it out. Me? I don't waste my time. To me, I'm just saying, is this common law? Yes or no? There's nothing in the order that could be handed down except for by a jury. So if I don't see a verdict from a jury, I don't see anything. So, like I said, I'd laugh when these guys are sending the orders. I look at the last page just to see if the edge is actually signed by a man, and it's not. It's all rubber stamped. It's all stamped by the signature of the guy or the woman. But I don't bother reading the stuff in the middle because I'm not going to let it get me upset, because it has nothing to do with me as the man. So to me, I say that, look, this is while we still have a common law country, use it and just drag it over to the common law side. And like I said, when you claim, it's going to go above their complaint. So your claim is going to get heard first. So that's how it works in law. whoever paperwork goes on last is the first thing heard in court. So they already have a complaint against you. Well, they already got a warrant. They got whatever nonsense. Now you're going to come in and you're going to put a original claim. You're not going to file a counterclaim. You're not going to make a false complaint. You're going to file an original claim and say, look, they're administering my property without rights. They're trying to tell me what to do, and they have no right to do it. And they're going to say, well, we have a right under this code. No, you don't have rights under a code. You have a duty, obligation, or privileges under a code. You don't have rights. Only a man has rights. A code is not rights. A code is not law. So that's what I said, this is so simple, it's scary. And I hope people start to understand what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. That the government comes at you, they have no right to come after you. If you, man, you have to establish that fact. Like I said, my lawsuit is so simple. I, a man, have claimed, I've been harmed, I have rights and those secured and protected by the Constitution. And there you go, and that's it, I'm done. And it is, I don't have to give him my name. How many cases you see, like anonymous versus anonymous, or John Doe versus John Doe? You don't have to give him your name if you don't want to. You just say, I'm a man. And then the jury will come down and the jury will decide the matter. You have the right to move any claim or any complaint or any case against you. When it's a criminal complaint, it's the Sixth Amendment, and when it's a civil complaint or a civil claim, the Seventh Amendment. So everybody has the right to a trial by jury. So like I said, you have to like I said, when you listen to Karl's fault, they'll tell you that no attorney will appear on the other side. And Clayton Cherry was on Angela's show, and he said the same thing. And this is what I tell people 100 times. If you go Google New York State, there has not been a foreclosure in New York State in over 4 years now, because Clayton Cherry and his group went before the New York Supreme Court, and they said that if any bank wants to try to foreclose on any more people in New York State, the attorneys are going to have to come forward under open affirmation in open court and swear that everything that the bank is saying is true. And every attorney is now going to be held liable for any false claims. If he can't prove it, he's going to be disbarred. He's going to be held liable for damages. So that no attorney has brought forth a claim from a bank foreclosure in New York State for like 3 or 4 years now. Because, once folks start realizing an attorney can't speak in a common law court, they can't do it. They can't bring forth a claim. They can't say anything. Only the plaintiff can say anything. So you could just say the plaintiff never appeared. And rule number 1, in common law, the plaintiff must appear. The defendant doesn't have to appear, but the plaintiff must appear. Mm-hmm. No plaintiff appeared. Like I said, I don't know how much simpler it can make it. Like you said, you got to stop overthinking it. And that's what people are having a problem with. Like, they're actually reading what these courts are sending back to them. And it's like, no, is this common law? This start going legalese. I always speak common law.
Well, like Rod Class says, you use their own laws against them.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I say. I use their U.S. codes. I use that UScourts.gov website, and I use their own words against them. Exactly. That's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
Like right. Like if that man Rod Class says there is no whatever anymore. It's like, you know what? That's your belief. As far as I'm concerned, the U.S. government just made this website this year. January 1st, and it clearly says that all in federal courts are Article 3 courts. So, okay, I'm going to hold them to it. So I'm going to put it before them and say, what does your website say? And they say, we're all Article 3 courts. Yeah, what does your federal court website say? We're all Article 3 judges. Like if you go to the United States, a United States District Court website, it says that all the judges there are Article 3 judges. So I'm going to hold you to it. They're just going to try to drag you over to the administrative side. They're going to try to drag you to the citizen.
Yeah.
And you refuse to go. You're like, I'm not going. But like I said, the whole problem with the people when they're saying they're not going is because they start talking to the man in the black robe instead of just writing it and putting it on paper. That way you didn't say to anybody in the court. You just write on the top, notice. That means you're noticing the whole entire world. Not judicial notice, not executive speedy notice, just the word notice. Just say notice. Is there any man in this court who's making a claim? It's almost like you could turn around and look in the gallery and say, he, forever speak, speak now, forever hold your peace. Is there any man who's going to make a claim before me in this court? Yes or no? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's what I tell people to do at 9 o'clock in the morning. You get called to be at the traffic court at 9 o'clock in the morning. You show up at 9 o'clock in the morning. You stand up and say, is there any man who's going to make a claim against me before me today? It's 9 o'clock, and at 9:01 I'm leaving. Is there any man who's making a claim? Make your claim forth now before I hold your peace. Say 3 times and leave. And then they'll give you any crap. You can say, look, I was there at 9 o'clock. You summoned me to appear at 9 o'clock. Well, we didn't get around to calling you till 11:30. Well, you didn't say that. On your summons, it says for me to appear at 9. I appeared at 9 o'clock. 9:01, I went home. I called up in open court just like they do. They yell in open court. They'll call your name out. They'll say, hey, Janet Summers here. Yeah, okay. Come forth. You can say, okay, you just yell forth. That says 9 o'clock. You call forth. Say, hey, I'm here to see if anybody's making a claim against my person. Anybody here? No. I'm going home. You just say, hey, I was here. That's always a fun thing to do too. Just make a claim in open court. But like I said, you got to make an original claim. You got to put it with the clerk of the court at least, at least 10 days before you get to court. So
letter.
Yeah, like a notice. No, everything's got to be just a notice. Everything's just a notice.
Okay.
Just the word notice across the top. Don't do judicial notice because then that diminishes the capacity of notice, and then you're saying that somebody has the right to judge your notice. I don't give anybody the right to judge my notice. Who are you? The only person who's going to judge my notice is the jury. What am I write jury notice on this? No, I'm just going to write the word notice. Mm-hmm. And notice just means out to the whole entire world. And just make it an all lowercase notice. No big, fancy, bold notice and uppercase. Just write lowercase notice. Just notice. And then
do you sign with the UCC 1-308 without the prejudice?
Oh, no. Absolutely not. Anytime I get any kind of a ticket like that, I have no problem signing my name because to me, I'll just make an original claim against that person immediately that they filed a false claim. I always do that. Listen to my first or second call, I went over exactly how I took it into when the policeman gave me the ticket. I actually started to conduct business on the side of the road. My sister said, "Come on, Karl, you just take the ticket." I said, "Oh, what am I doing?" "Yes, lovely. Give me your tickets, please, as many as you want." So then Monday morning, I went down there and I handed the prosecuting attorney, and I said, "This man's not making a false claim against me because I did not cause any harm or injure anybody, and I want this claim to make it go away. Discharge it, dismiss it. Let's just say he made a mistake." And then when he read who the officer was, he's like, "Holy cow! No, this guy teaches all the recruits the code. No, what he wrote must be dead on, and I'll see you in court in 30 days." I said, "Oh well, I gave you fair warning, that to take back the tickets, and you wouldn't take them back." But like I said, that's on Angela's other call, and I went through the whole thing, how I beat him in court. Like they never, the prosecutor said he's never lost, and the cop said he never lost, and I just did the old trick when I made sure, when open court, when it first started, I said, "We're here to discuss the fact that I broke the law, right?" "Yes." And I said, "Okay, yes." And then I asked the judge, I said, "Yes." And he said, "Okay, and you know the difference between legal and lawful, right?" He said, "Oh, absolutely, I'm a judge." I said, "Okay, then let's get this on. I'll be done in 2 minutes.
You know what, guys? I gotta go.
Sure, Ange.
I hate to cut it short, but I've got to go. My son's waiting for me. Josie, I hope that's good for you. Go and also listen to the other episodes he was on. The numbers are on the website. If you go to the Get Speakers page and click on Karl Lentz's name, it tells
that
you
188 and 189. That's what he said.
So.
Yeah. 188, 189, and 199.
Yeah, this one is 199. All right, and somebody's asking real quick, Karl, would this work in a divorce, a no-fault divorce? Would you say, is there a claim before this court?
The only problem with it's funny with a divorce, it's like I said earlier, it's like 1 and 1 becomes 1. So it's almost like you're suing yourself. It's almost like a vicious circle. It's like you're making a claim against yourself. Yeah.
So no, you wouldn't do that in a divorce?
In a divorce, no, because the person is there to testify. You do have a man or woman who will have no problem making a claim against you.
Yeah, it's more like when you're up against a government entity, right?
It's the First Amendment, right? The right to re-grievance against the government, right? Re-grievance against the government. It's the First Amendment, right? You can sue them, and you can say nobody had the right to administer my property. but they don't have rights. The government has privileges. So, right, you use the old First Amendment and say grievance of the government, of an act of the government. They try to administer a property without rights. The government doesn't have rights. It's just that simple.
Thank you very much, Karl. I appreciate it. Every time you come on, it's always so interesting. Thank you so much.
Karl.
I thank you, everybody, for coming on. I love you. I hope we can see you again next time. Let's see. Go to the website, myprivateaudio.com, and click on the guest speakers page, and you can see some of the docs that Karl has already sent us. Also on the history page, if you go to call history, there's a listing of all the different calls and the different people that were on the calls and links to their information. And I guess that's it. We'll call it a night. Thank you so much. I love you guys, and I appreciate it. See you again next week. Thanks, Karl.
All right, Angela. We're gonna